Well, welcome everybody to our latest session of the Restoration of Cariele. I believe we were on session 21 today. Unfortunately, last week's recording, we had some technical issues. Anybody familiar with the randomly changing input settings for both sound and microphone will understand my pain here. So the voice of the DM, me, was not recorded, which means the recording is not very helpful. But because of that, we'll move on with the hope that that won't happen again. We've got some measures in place here to hopefully prevent that from happening. But yeah, we will, as usual, do a quick recap of what occurred last week, and then we will get underway with today's session. So last session, guys, as you will probably recall, in last session, you guys did speak with Michael Moriad early in the session as you were still at the Hogshead bar. You had a conversation with him. He left. You guys ultimately spoke with Fran, who is the owner there at the Hogheads bar. You guys asked a bunch of questions. There was some back and forth about what the best way to go about was. There was this plan originally for you guys to head down into the area where the arena was underground. There was that idea. So this might be blending two sessions ago and last session, but just we'll kind of summarize quickly. So you guys went down into the arena. You guys had your match after observing for a bit. You guys then left there. But you had also heard in the city streets that there was this talk of this free giveaway that was going to occur. So that worried you a bit. So after you did your underground tournament fighting and were able to defeat the three creatures, collect your prize, and then learn that Tavard had a friend down there involved in the fighting ring, you guys then made your way back up, decided to get Vin a bath back at the Hogshead bar to make sure he was clean before heading to the castle. While that was all going on, Fran had also told Vin that she was nervous because somebody of like higher status was making their way to the Hogshead bar. So the group was kind of on the lookout for that as well. Eventually, this lord arrived, who you later learned was Lord Tannen Bosch, and he had a older woman, maybe late 40s or mid 40s, hard to say, woman with him, and they kind of sat down. The group decided to buy them a bottle of alcohol, a more pricey one that they thought these noble folks would be more inclined to drink. And then Vin decided to go over to the table, sort of introduce himself. Lord Tannen was kind of, polite, but didn't really seem all that interested in Vin. However, once Vin explained a bit more about his purpose here and who he was, the woman seemed kind of surprised here. She had been introduced as Lady Nova. She asked to speak with Vin in a separate room privately, and he said yes, as long as he could bring in a bodyguard, perhaps in the form of Saline, with Serena standing outside the doorway, providing more of the bodyguard support there. Once inside the room, the woman revealed that she was actually Vin's mother. This was Ulrika Gladdenil, who was, of course, Vin's father, Steel Gladdenil's wife, and she explained a kind of a terrible story that after all of the tragedy that occurred with Vin's father, with Steel, and he was deposed, then the uncle took over, and this turned out to be very bad for her, because the uncle Entier was not, say, the best of people. He was all focused on his presence and his reputation and like looking good and having money and this sort of thing, but he wasn't really interested in ruling, perhaps because it was quite clear that the guild really ruled this land, even if it's only in name. She then went on to explain that at one time Entier was actually a brave, more like soldier kind of person, but after Steel was deposed and he was then sort of installed as the ruler, he got with the program really quick, realizing that, or at least believing that there's nothing he could do to change things here with the guild, so he just fell in line. And since then, over the years, he kind of left his warrior ways behind him and more focused on presentation and just kind of enjoying money that he had and kind of living the high life here as best he could and just being a toady to Miele Bierian. And then Vin's mother also explained that with all of the commotion, what was going on, she had heard some talk back at the castle. That is where she stays. She had indicated that Entier seemed like he was in a tizzy and was kind of all moving about, giving orders and things around the castle. There was a lot of chaos and movement around the castle. And eventually she indicated that she was pretty sure that Entier had left. And the group eventually learned through both her and some other connecting sources like Lord Tannen that Entier did in fact leave and likely was headed north to Thosone, as he had some allies up there that probably could protect him for at least a time. And in sort of a parting prank or bit of malice, perhaps, he decided to spread the word that there was going to be this big giveaway at the castle, and perhaps he was hoping to put this expectation for all of the people onto the new regent, and obviously this would be a pricey affair. So with that information in hand, Vin asked to accompany Lord Tannen and his mother back to the castle, and they sort of said, yeah, not a good idea. They are already known at the castle, so they're allowed to kind of go back and forth, and to get Vin in, it would require a bit more explanation and getting things ready, not to mention that the castle is in really bad state right now from all of the chaos that Entier had just occurred, his sort of orders of getting everything ready for his departure. And so the idea was hatched, why not allow both Lord Tannen and Vin's mother, who is also suffering from migraines, and indicated this is something that has been happening for a while and really is like a really debilitating condition when it hits her hard, said, why don't they make their way back to the castle first, and they will sort of inform everybody there, and then allow some time for those two, particularly Lord Tannen, to get things a bit more under control, and then hopefully greet the new regent and his team a little bit later in the evening. So the group agreed to this. We had Dian going out into town to do some shopping at the herbalist shop, was able to pick up a couple more recipes, and spoke a bit more with Arona, the shop owner there, and she explained that she gets these various shipments at times, but she didn't have anything brand new in the last couple of days. So after that was done, as some time passed, the team decided to make their way to the castle, found Dian outside of the inn where he had seemingly just let this bird go to fly into the air. The team then made their way to the castle, walking up this sort of elevated slope in a sense, as the castle is sort of at the back of the town, and the elevation increases as you get closer and closer to the castle. Eventually made their way there, and once the team got there, the guards at first didn't really seem like they were going to allow the group to enter, but after the team tried to explain sort of who they were and dropped Lord Tannen's name, one of the guards went in to get Lord Tannen. He made his way out and then was surprised to see the group so quickly already here, but perhaps just wanted more time. It seemed like overall he was also flustered with everything going on, and trying to get things in order was a very, very big challenge in such a short period of time. So with the group allowed entry, they passed into like the courtyard area and then made their way up to the castle itself. Lord Tannen offered to give the team a quick sort of tour around the castle, and they took him up on that. So the team passed through the main area. He showed a spot where they sometimes do religious observations, meeting areas, dining areas, showed them a bunch of different rooms on the different floors. He showed them a bunch of bedrooms, the balconies, master bedrooms, just very extravagant, as you can probably imagine for a castle. So it kind of went through explaining all of this, where everything was, what its sort of use was, all of that information. And then once that was complete, or during that time, he indicated there was a basement as well. Blixel seemed to be really interested in going to the basement, and Lord Tannen seemed to think that that wasn't a good idea. Kind of seemed like he was trying to steer the team away from going down there, but Blixel was pretty insistent. So at the end of the tour, he showed them where the basement was, but he himself did not descend. So our party then made their way down into the basement, and down there they were able to find that there was a large storage area of wine, so many different racks of wine bottles. There was also casks, some chests with odds and ends in them, likely preserved foods, dried foods, that sort of thing. But more importantly, on the north part of the basement, the team was able to find a door that was labeled Treasury, which seemed to really infuriate Celine. But the team kind of looked at that, realized they didn't have the key, thought about perhaps checking to make sure that the treasury did actually contain the amount of money that Lord Tannen believed was in there. The team also noticed a little bit to the east of the treasury door, there was this part of the wall that looked a little bit odd, almost as though the rocks of the wall were kind of falling down or could fall down, though none of them had. And it was almost as though when the team stood by it, they could hear the sound of the rocks moving around, though never really see rocks moving. It was almost like it was a layer deep, perhaps. So eventually, as the team explored that area a little bit more, I believe it was Vin who sort of approached it and kind of reached out towards the wall. Then the rocks at the surface level actually did move to make a square that revealed a very large keyhole. And as a sort of light bulb moment, the team realized that the key that they received in the very first session of this campaign from the Vin and Baron's foster mom, who handed that over and said that it was something that Vin's father had given to her, and that she wasn't really sure exactly what it was for, but assumed it was important. And this seems to be where it goes. So the team then used the key, opened that. It was obviously a magical wall of some kind, because once the key was placed inside, the wall's racks actually moved to open a passage. 3 of our team members went in, which I believe was Vin, Blixel, and Cerilia. And once they passed through, Tabard, who was on the outside waiting a bit behind, noticed them pass through and vanish. And it seemed as though the wall then covered over. So as in resealing, making it difficult for anybody to try to get through there. The 3 team members inside found a small altar in the center. There was a bag and there was a letter nearby it. Blixel actually used Divine Sense, was able to detect that there was a presence in this area, but wasn't able to discern what type it was, which is very strange because typically that's not how that ability works. So this obviously set off some alarm bells for him. Eventually, the team investigated this bag. There were 3 stones in it and a letter. Once the letter was read, it was from Vin's father, explaining that these stones were something known as hero stones, and that he had previously shown these to what he called the Elf King, and the Elf King wanted these, but he did not give the stones away. He said that because the Elf King wanted them so badly, they must be important, even though what he called the stick mages said they were not magical. That seemed to be false, at least in appearance, because once the bag was opened, the stones actually flew into the air, circled around, and seemed to be communicating telepathically to our team members nearby. And once each team member called out a name, which they heard these names telepathically from the stones, they called out the name of one of the stones. That stone flew to that person and bonded with them. So our team was able to the 3 of them each get one of these hero stones and learn a little bit about the abilities associated with this stone and what item it has to be paired with for it to work. And each of our team members did that by binding one of these stones to an item that worked for that particular stone. And yeah, each team member has that now. As they exited, they then filled in the other 3 team members about what happened inside, and I'm sure there was some confusion as far as what that whole ordeal was about. But yeah, so the team filled everybody in there, and I believe it was right about there where we ended, because I know the next plan was to head up and make final preparations for both the night and tomorrow's coronation. If there's anything I missed there, which is very possible, feel free to fill anything in, folks.
Oh, go ahead. Whoever that was.
I was just gonna say the Elf King had said he wanted the stones to fight abominations.
Yes, very good addition. Feel free to
But
add anything else you like.
yeah, we didn't know what those were, I don't think, but it was just that's what the Elf King wanted the stones for.
Yes, yep, very a good addition as far as why that might have been important to the Elf King. So yeah, go and take inspiration there, Blixel.
In the letter letter from Steel, he also mentioned my fierce daughter, my shiny sons. That's the first time we've heard anything about daughter, because Ulrika also had 2 bands on her wrists that were for Vin and Bjorn, but not a third for a daughter that we saw. So it's just interesting to hear that piece of information. We may need to look into it further.
Yes, indeed. There was some speculation of whether this daughter that Seal is referring to was Ulrika's daughter or maybe a daughter from a previous relationship. Good addition. Go and take inspiration, Vin. Anybody else? All right, hearing nothing else, sounds like we are good to go. Let me go ahead and deal out everybody's card.
We still got to figure out who's sleeping where.
I
And
was
we have to-
happy that last week my card didn't get played. I just remember that.
We also have a magic item to identify or just attune to.
Oh yeah, the tentacle rod.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so each of you should have a card now. Feel free to review that. Let me know if any questions. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get you guys back on the map. We will presume that after all of this fun and excitement, Serena has decided to run upstairs and try to claim one of the bedrooms she likes best for herself.
But she won't get the one she wants.
We'll find out next week, right? When she's back, she can fight for it. But all right, so let's go ahead and get you guys back over to the map.
She's not here. It doesn't count.
That's right. Just gotta sleep on the lawn.
Before we go off and look for these bedrooms, Adam, the party and everything for tomorrow, the coronation party that Intier kind of trapped us into, that we're trying to hustle together. There's still workers still getting everything going now, right? Even though it's later into the evening.
Well, I guess what I will say here is because I feel like you guys made a bit of assumptions last week about this whole coronation. I was waiting to see how long it took for you guys to realize, but you haven't heard of any official coronation being scheduled or anything like that. All you've heard is that there's this big giveaway tomorrow. So the big giveaway seems to be a prank on Entier's part as he was leaving. But as far as you're aware, there's no necessarily in-flight plans for crowning you, your coronation, or any of that.
Okay.
Huh.
Sounds like something for Master of Ceremonies to figure out.
Take advantage of the situation. Intier intends
sure.
to make you a fool. Blixelhill will make you a king.
Yeah. But do you think we should rush something like that, though?
Oh, a party? The throw in the Intier's face? That sounds like a good idea to me. And he's the
Well,
rightful heir.
I just mean the whole coronation thing. Like, we should do that separately. This is just a hi, nice to meet you. You know.
I'm going to be taking over, making
Yeah.
decisions from now on, kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah,
that
but
works.
I'm a good guy. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give out food. We're just gonna,
But-
kiss some babies and smile and sort of make yourself known to everybody.
You
But we
think
should
perhaps?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
My lord.
I was going to say, well, since it's a giveaway, what if we offered some kind of prize to someone who could complete some kind of challenge, something of stronger nature or fierce nature or something like that, right? But perhaps it would draw out some individuals that we may want to hire for our court.
They could challenge my fiery spirit.
Or Stinky. They may not know that Stinky is, awakened and everything. Fight this bear.
No. We gotta have them clear out that monster in the sewers. Whoever can do that is definitely worth it.
I think our population might wane if we send them off to do that.
I'm just saying that we should take advantage of Intier's intentions for bad. And we do for sure need to introduce you as the new regent. And this is a celebration of your regency that you have returned. In some way or form. I'll leave it up to you, my lord. But that is my counsel.
And what time of day is it? Is it still like daytime or is it turning into nighttime?
Whoops, sorry about that. As far as time of day, so you guys were in the Hogshead bar. You guys spent some time, went down. So I would say it's probably late afternoon at this point. Say 4 p.m.-ish or so? No, actually, I take that back. You guys decided to wait in the Hogshead, give them more time, so you guys actually came here at night. So it's actually closer to probably 7 p.m.
Okay. I'll do what I can. I don't know if I'm gonna have any signs. Maybe I'll make one out of an illusion or something.
Signs for what?
To say, hey, new region in town.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Like campaigning for school president.
You mean
Yeah.
to post them along the boulevard? Is that what you call it, a boulevard?
Well, no. My point is, I don't think we only have tonight, so unless we start making them now, we're not gonna have any of those signs. But I figured I'd just make an illusion of a sign just sort of floating in the air.
Well, I tell you, if the rumors about the food would buy pretty quick, could you imagine how quick the rumors would be about telling them that we've got a new lord in the area? Just tell people to go tell people. No need for a yard sale sign.
Yeah, a town crier, for instance. Shoot.
Tannen, are you around?
Lord Tannen is mucking about with a bunch of other folks as they're kind of running to and fro. So as you call out to him, you see he takes a moment to look away from who he's speaking to. Yes?
Are you, do you employ a town crier?
We have the courier service, but unfortunately several members of it are no longer in employment.
What about those boys we know from the Hog's Head? They'll do anything for a gold coin.
Are they dressed to represent?
We could get them dressed to represent.
Lord Tannen, is there a never mind. Sorry, that we have decisions to make. Pardon, I'm sorry. You're very busy.
You see he nods as you notice another couple of people run up to him. The drapes are missing from the third quarter, fourth bathroom. And you see, oh, yes, I'll take care of it.
I think you're right. We should make some announcements tonight and early in the morning somehow.
Yeah, the giveaway.
No, it's a it's celebration of the new regent, and we're going to give out food in his benevolence.
Won't that attract more people than we can feed? Maybe we just let the word of mouth work, and then anyone who's there gets the benefit of, first come, first serve. We don't have that much to. We're not going to be able to scrape too much together in less than a day.
Yeah, by the way, Lord Tannen, we found some wine down there that we can use for this party.
You see he looks to, the wine in the basement. Well, if I'm recalling correctly, that is of excellent vintage and is actually worth a bit if you use that at the party. I mean, the price will, I don't know if that, how shall I say, that vintage might be wasted on who you're trying to give it to.
We could use that wine as part of the giveaway, right? Create some kind of contest of wit or brawn. Winner takes home a bottle. Instead of just giving away free shit, they could try to earn it. Have some fun. Like a carnival.
Excuse me, my lord. Are you trying to organize some type of a competition in 1 day's time?
No, 10 hours.
Yeah. Half a day, Tannen.
I'm afraid things don't work nearly as quick as you might imagine. I mean, doing such like that requires a lot of time. I mean, there's many different people you have to speak to, figure out where it is that you would want to have such an event. What could it fit as number of people that are coming? There's security matters to think of. There's costs involved in renting such a location. Everything you talk about, usually this is something that is done with 2 to 3 months lead time.
So we can't just, draw a circle on the ground and have two people box it out?
You could, but are you sure you wish to be associated with an event of such low caliber?
I wasn't being specific, Lord Tannen. I'm just saying, right? The event doesn't have to be extravagant. people here. They're expecting something fun. They want food. They want drink. There will be merriment. Maybe not all here in the courtyard, but it will transcend down into Carolinian. People should feel joyous and like they are celebrating, like my companions say, the Regency. But if we can take advantage of some of the people that come, right, those that are strong of mind, of body, maybe we could increase the value of our court. We could bring in people to perhaps fill in some of the vacancies for lower cost. We could meet many new faces that could be advantageous. But alas, this is just us talking out loud. We're trying to figure out ways to, well, to make sure we don't get embarrassed tomorrow, quite frankly.
Best way not to get embarrassed is not to do anything dumb. What about just, I mean, kind of quick to be putting all these things together. Maybe just you you have the event tomorrow, you do the food because you've already said you're going to, and you just let it be known that this is due to the new guy, but you actually do the ceremony later.
Simple enough. Like a bread line. Like they come down, pick up the food, shake a hand, and go off and eat it.
Yeah, a couple months you'll say, hey, 3 months from now, 2 months from now, whatever. That way, there maybe we collect some more gold so we can actually pay for a real ceremony or something. I don't know. I don't know what these things cost, but I mean, I think it's just keep it simple, and let it be known that it was by your generosity, of course, and then later on, just brag later.
This is true. Alas, Tannen, we have many things to speak about. But at some point tonight, those that have remained, do you think it would be possible to maybe gather them all so I could speak to them?
All of the workers?
Yes, those who remained.
You see, he
Just to
kind
say
of
thank you.
looks at you with kind of like a strange expression on his face before he kind of like recovers and shakes himself. I think what might be most beneficial to you, my lord, is once you have taken care of any odds and ends that you need to hear, I would suggest, as you said, your companions here are to be trusted and folks that you are going to rely on. I would suggest we all get into a room and I can kind of explain to you how this stuff typically works, and then you can decide if you wish to change anything. But many of your ideas, while you could certainly go that way, they're not how things are typically done. So just be aware that you would be changing protocol and precedent and so forth. And I think just getting in a room and discussing all this probably would be best.
For sure, which is why we've kept you on retainer, Tannen. You know more about it than we do. Like I said just a few weeks ago, we were huddled all together with a hole dug in the ground, trying to stay warm during a storm. So, yes, we'll take your advice, and we would love to hear what you have to say about it. But you have to be aware there probably will be some things that we do, collectively, individually, that is going to be different from protocol. And as long as you can help guide us from extreme embarrassment, that's all we ask of you.
He nods. I will do my best. Yes.
Now, I still would like to speak to some of the workers, though. I think it's only best to say thank you. But we'll talk about it when we get to the room.
Yes. Okay.
Well, everyone, like Tannen said, and he'll kind of walk in here and look at that statue and then take a second and then come back into the doorway. Why don't we find out where we're going to put our things down? Take a second to breathe it in, and then we'll meet with Lord Tannen.
All right. I call dibs, and Blix will start rushing up the stairs.
Vin will kind of smile and make his way past Celine and say, what were you thinking? Something small? Or
Uh,
something close to that library?
Maybe, or something with access to like a balcony where I can see the stars and try to do some divining stuff, maybe. I don't know.
All right, so there's 2 rooms with, or 2 floors with rooms, right? There's a 3rd and then the 4th.
Correct.
Okay. So this one on the 4th floor was where Interior was before,
Yes, that's right.
and it goes out to this balcony.
Yes.
All right. I kind of like this one more. So Vin is going to take that one.
Okay. So 3rd floor master bedroom with that balcony. Okay.
He likes to be close to the commotion and everything. So, plus it looks got a cool treasure chest. It looks big. It's got a room he could host his friends. Blixel, are you claiming that one?
Yeah. Actually, no. If you're not taking that one that Enter was taking, Buxel will take that one.
Don't forget about this one over here. It's got the fireplace in it and stuff. With the balcony. There you go, Saline. You could take that one.
Which one?
Right here on the 4th floor.
I'm lost.
So if you come up the stairs and go into this room here, and you got bedroom, little area with a fireplace, and then balcony out here.
And obviously, we don't have dynamic lighting turned on. If we get into a situation where it's important, that will get turned on. But for right now, I just want you guys to get the lay of the land and sort of understand where everything's at.
So Blixel's thinking this one then.
Yeah. Buxel will take the penthouse. I can't pull the token over there, but.
Oh, really? You should be able to. But yeah, I can throw you over there.
We hit a wall, on the edge of the house, basically.
Oh, right. Okay. Each section is cordoned off. Yep. All right. So, Saline, you on over on that side too?
Sure.
And Dean, there's this one that goes out to the balcony. You could probably take one of these that is close to the balcony, and you could see out down below. There's this one, and across from Serena that has this balcony. What you thinking, buddy?
I think he was AFK for a second. I'm not sure if he's back yet, but this is a fireplace, right?
It is. Yep.
And is there like a chair or something nearby?
Just to your north, there is a table with a chair there.
Okay, Buxel will smash the chair against the wall and then start a fire.
All
And go,
right.
the good life. All the chairs you can smash.
Did we establish that all these rooms are vacant, or are we just like kicking people out?
So
Everybody
with
quit.
the sort of chaos of everybody moving about, there are still some people here, but yeah, you basically can lay claim to rooms. No one is like, oh, that's absolutely my room kind of thing.
Tavard, what are you thinking, buddy?
I'm thinking I need my token.
I think it's under Dean.
Yeah. I'm over here because I think it's closest to the door that goes downstairs to the chow hall.
It's like right across the hall from the staircase.
I want to know when the fresh bread is made. You can have your damn balconies.
Dwarfs don't. They don't have balconies. Wait, would they?
Depends on the structure, you know.
Did
All
any
right,
of you read
so-
Aragon?
Oh, geez, that was bad.
Do you remember how they described the dwarf cities in that one? That one always made me cringe.
I
It was a
don't
giant
remember, but
hole.
I'm not surprised.
It was like a giant hole in the earth with like skyscrapers and stuff on the interior. I'm like, what? They built a dome and then they built buildings inside the dome. It was a rough read.
Yes, yep, I remember all the criticism in that one. Okay, so based on you guys picking bigger rooms, I think Serena will take a little bit bigger room, so she'll take that one.
Oh, no, I'm last to show up because I had to go AFK.
That is right. You're the last one to pick your room, like college dorms, right?
There's a few options with balconies though, buddy. You got this one, and you could turn it into a double, right? You could claim both of those and just make it
I
one big
don't
one.
know where you guys. Oh,
There's-
Adam, I bet Serena would want to be close to Vin, though, as the bodyguard.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we could put her over here.
oh, I see you guys are. Okay.
So Tavar took this one close to the chow hall.
No, I mean, I took that one because it's close in case bad guys come up the stairs. Yep, that's why. Mhm.
Yep. Then me, I got this one. Third floor. Saline has this one up the stairs. You have to go through this way.
Is that the top floor there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Blixo has this one, which used to be where Intier was. This is like where he was staying. I know you want a balcony, so maybe what I was thinking is you take this one and make it one long room. Take that bed out, right? And now
Yeah.
and then you got this balcony you can share with Blixel. Or you could do this one or this one, but those are tiny, bro.
Yo, this is good. Plexel, do you mind if I, help share the balcony?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll both have a balcony. That way, if we can, oversee the lands that we rule.
So it sounds like you want fourth floor, Dian?
Yeah, I'll take fourth floor. And yeah, I could put the bed somewhere. Maybe set up my herbalism lab in one of these rooms.
Oh, you better not stink this
Herbalism lab?
floor up. You better not stink this floor up. This is high class up here.
Oh,
I won't
well,
stand any.
He
stinky-
says as he smashes a chair to start a fire. It's high class up here.
Yeah.
well, we need
Fireplaces
ventilation.
are class.
We need ventilation for the herbs that I am partake in late in the evening.
Right. Just
So
saying.
I feel like the
Adam-
balcony would be a natural place to have all those herbs, right? Sunlight, they grow in.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exact-
Yeah, little herb
Yeah,
garden up
yeah.
there, bro.
Do it outside if you need to do it.
It's on the 4th floor, so the cops can't see it from the bottom.
Yeah.
Only
Okay.
if they
Good.
got drones.
All right,
Alright,
so
and,
as each of you has taken a room, I think I'll just throw a text label on them just so we remember who's claimed which room. But yeah, then you guys can decide what it is you'd like to do next.
Can we say that Vin said that he'll have everybody in his room after, like 20, 30 minutes, and he'll go and get one of those nicer vintage wines? Not like, one of the top shelves, but something better than what they're all used to having. Maybe a couple, and he'll like set up this little thing, and he'll send one of the, if he's got like a servant or butler or something, to get, some basic food and stuff, and we'll have a little discussion about what we think we should do.
Okay, yeah, you can do that.
We'll say one of the changes that Vin immediately made to his room was he took these two tables on the end here and he dragged them outside, so he has a little patio table.
Yeah, and if you guys get real into the decorating, I'll throw some like assets and stuff down. We can always do that. Otherwise, we can just assume you've got stuff where.
So Adam, do you move us, or do we go to the portal? Do we have portals now, or?
So for now, I'm moving you guys as this isn't like fully set up because there's no issue with this area right now. But as I was mentioning, probably while you were AFK, eventually we'll turn the dynamic lighting on this. I just wanted you guys to have all like a lay of the land. So yeah, if you're trying to move from one floor to another floor, just let me know.
Yep. Yeah, I'd like to move down to the Finn's room.
Yeah. We'll meet down there. Blixel, when he enters, like, hey, I got a fire going up there. It's in the fireplace. Don't worry. Where's Lord Tannen? Is he coming up here for this?
Nah, this would just be the homies, and then we'll go to Lord Tannen. We'll have Tannen come up here soon, and he can join us. This is a pre-tannin meeting.
All right.
Cool. So as you guys come into Vin's room, he's gonna greet you with a glass of wine, show you his new digs. Check it out. Right, I gave myself a nice patio table. Look at this
Yeah.
view. I can see the courtyard. There's that fountain. I'm gonna get that thing turned on for sure.
Yeah, pretty nice. You ever think this would happen when you're in the hamlet? This is crazy. Now we're in a castle.
It's a nice one too. In that letter, he'll ask everybody to come outside for that. We got a little patio table. We'll enjoy some night air. Come on, Tavard.
Make sure no one's spying. You gotta be careful of that now.
It's not like we're going to talk about super pertinent things. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. I wouldn't have gotten here without you. And from today on, our responsibilities are going to change. All of us will have both individual jobs to maintain, as well as overseeing what happens in this realm, how we lead the people. I know a lot of you didn't really sign up to be politicians, but here we are. I thoroughly appreciate all of you, and I will always help you achieve anything that you're looking to do, whether it's rebuilding your home, Dean, becoming famous, Blixel, finding out anything you need to find out, Celine, or increasing your relations with the dwarfs, Tavad. Whatever I can do in the future to also help you, please don't hesitate to ask. Don't be consumed by your duties enough to forget where we want to go individually. And overall, I just want to say I'm probably going to make myself look like a fool here and there, so please help me keep that to a minimum, especially if it's with a woman.
Some things you can't teach. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be able to roll a whole bunch of blind checks on that there, and Adam will know for sure. Can I use my inspiration on the persuasion check, please?
So, hushing his voice a little bit lower, he'll say, in that note I got from my dad, I feel he was a lot like I am, but his experience was way more than mine. But I'll garner that in time. So after tomorrow, we'll have to get right down to business. So before we talk to Tannen, I think the number one thing that we should do is probably get our finances in order. That seemed light for a treasury. What do you all think? Just right away.
I think that's probably a good idea. We gotta sort of fly low and out of sight from the guild.
There's no reason to stir that stew, as they say. I agree.
Well, maybe
Anything? Go ahead.
I was gonna
Sorry.
say, yeah, obviously the cash flow issue is an issue, right? I mean, there's so much to do, but I think of personal nature. I mean, don't you want to know if you have a sister or not?
I mean, yeah. I thought I was going to have to do this alone, practically. Obviously not with you, but, with no family. So it is important to me, but it sounds foolish to say, but currently I think my job to the realm is just a little more important. And I have to think about things like that. My individual goals are no longer most important. It's everybody's goals, our goals, the realm's, making sure people don't die in the streets from starvation, protecting our borders from invasion, espionage, and threats. If I spend my time dwelling on family matters, well, something's bound to fall through the cracks. Perhaps when we have a bit more foundation, we can look further into that. But I am very, very interested to learn about somebody that I've never met, that carries my blood.
Are you sure you've never met her? Buxos stares at Celine.
She's an elf, bro.
Maybe. I don't know. We've always been like brother sister, hanging out.
Yeah, but my blood doesn't have magic powers like his does. That kind of throws a wrench in the theory, I think.
Oh.
Interesting. Does anyone else here, I guess, while the conversation is aroused, have interesting powers with their blood? Bloodlines, I think they're called.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's from my blood. Thought Avani was blessing me, but I've been able to heal people. When I couldn't before. It just started happening.
Well, that may be important. And you cured that woman of her disease back in the logging camp?
Yeah. So I probably have special blood. Why not? Sorry, Celine.
Either way, Tavard, you have a great question. But like I said, I think just the quality of the realm is important at first, especially with a lot of eyes on us.
Well, do you think your mom would know something about that? Unless it's like a half sister or something.
There's no telling. I mean, I just met her 10 minutes before you all did. She may, but she would probably have mentioned it, I think. So maybe that's a delicate question to ask her specifically.
You're in a position you're going to get a lot of delicate questions to be asked of you.
Finding the right way to ask them and answer them will have to become a talent of mine, I suppose.
Yeah. You know what you should do? You should make her a shit sandwich.
What does that mean?
Well, shit sandwich is when you put one bad thing in the middle of two good things. So, like, you compliment her, be like, oh, it's so great to see you. Then you drop the bomb with the sister question. And then you say, by the way, I want you to live with me at the castle or something like that.
Shit sandwich, you say?
Yeah.
Well, either way, the question will have to be asked of her.
Maybe
I'll take your
she's been
advice
here a
into
while. Maybe
consideration.
she could. She's been here a while. Maybe she can tell you who to hire for all these empty job spots you have. I mean, the Indeed.com account doesn't seem to be doing well.
Yeah, perhaps we need the pro membership.
It's lapsed. I think it's lapsed. Tannen wasn't covering it.
We'll get him on it right away. Well,
But I agree. I think we need to make money somehow, but I don't want to. I don't think we should tax people because that's a surefire way for them to hate your guts.
Well,
I mean, we could tax them a little bit, but I don't think we should like jack it up.
I agree on that one. At least not currently. And, well, Miele and I are not the only ones that hold positions of power here. Perhaps I don't remember the name of that damn church, but Tannen may. But there's a group of religious people that we may be able to connect with that are holding their own power.
Sure.
And obviously, Moriad.
Yeah, I think that's the best bet.
Um, thank you for the wine. I would say my charge here is nothing to do with feeding and watering your people, my lord. I am wholly to remind you that the guild is destroying this realm, and it is something that needs to be abolished. Now, I'm not a fool. I understand that there's power and influence in the region, but if the guilds are not stopped, then all magic in this land will go, and we will have to move. I'm not only concerned about my family, but the 6 members of remaining in my small tribe that has dwindled drastically. The druids are gone because of this. Now I know that we have to do things immediately, but I'm sorry to say, if I am to be employed here as the keeper of Cerilia, I find that a bit contrary to my mission.
It's just the opposite, in fact, Ian. You remember when I said right away that your goals are important to me? I share a similar sentiment with you about the guild. I mean, they killed my brother. I understand where you're coming from. My main goal is to build a strong Cariele. Strong not in just the sense of the people, but in the land of what we have here. I grew up in these woods, hunting the game, but also watching it die. Before we met you, we walked into this grove. We were told that there was a creature there that was evil, that caused some problems with the loggers. When we got there, we noticed everything seemed dead. The trees surrounding them had these decayed and old bottles of alchemist fire on them. But from the middle of the tree, I believe it was called an ironbark tree, out came, well, what can only be called corrupted dryad, according to Celine. In that moment, we knew we had to put that creature down, but collectively, we also knew that that creature's demise was that of the guilds. We can't allow that to happen to our land and our homes. The magic you talk about, it will surely perish if we don't do something. Not just you, sir. We. All of us. I have your back, and you reminding me this is needed and respected, so please continue. Don't let me lose sight of it. My responsibilities will be way more than I think they will, but I need you.
A corrupted dryad. It's getting worse than I thought. There's got to be a way to reach out to that world. Um, it, have you met anyone mystical in nature that seemed to be very powerful and not of this world? And um, was nature driven? I don't know. Did magics of cold and fire or very passionate person? Those are the type of things of the forces of nature.
Maybe.
Well,
Blixel did sleep with this frost mage who we helped at one point, who actually gave us Stinky. That's who awakened Stinky. Her name was Garnica.
Garnica. Doesn't ring the bell. Wow. Where did she go?
She turned into an owl and flew away.
Oh, then. Oh, my heart is beating fast. There is hope. There is still nature's power in this world.
Oh
Should
yeah.
think on this.
It's a good point of bringing her up. You know, we should investigate that place at some point or have someone do it. She
Oh
said that
yeah.
we should have someone go and check out the rest of that, as well as that place under Rindale. There may be artifacts that are important to our history there.
I would be most curious to 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 see where Garnica went. Imagine that power, that passion, and nature's abilities to
All
make
right.
great change. This is
Relax.
it. What? Wait, you actually slept with her?
There wasn't much sleeping, but yeah, I hung out with her. She was cool. But then she like poisoned me at the end. She touched me with her new staff and messed me up.
Oh, she was trying to give you the blessing,
Yeah.
and you
You know
failed.
about the blessing?
Well, I've never met Garnica, but you failed. How could you fail that?
I mean, it was tough. It was very painful. I got all locked up. But she liked me. She gave me a chance. I don't think she intentionally did it, but I think whatever god she worships is probably a little bit on the tough side.
So he'll like look inquisitively at you and shake his head a little bit, like, "Wow!" And he says, "What an experience." Well, if there's a list of potential allies, I might consider Garnica on that list, just to keep in
It's
mind.
true.
And Blixel obviously agrees. And he'll laugh.
Yeah. Well, I forget where she said she was from.
Something about Croatia?
Well, that's the goddess she worships, but I don't think she told us where she was from or where she was going. I think she just said someplace far away.
Did
She
you?
said like far to the east or far to the west or something like that, but I can't remember.
So Blixel, you have these abilities. Any of it to sense good or evil, and if so, did you have the wherewithal in the moments of excitement to determine whether or not this said love of yours was actually evil or good?
I think I did do it. No,
I
I
feel
did.
like you did.
She was weirdly cold, but I didn't detect any like fiend or anything.
Okay, all right, all right.
She just
Sorry,
seemed like a really cool lady.
I
It
see what you
was.
did there. That was good.
Oh yeah. Yep. Meant to do that one. All right. So, but yeah, then she used shipwrecker to break open this vault to get this. I think it was a staff, and then she flew off to her back home. I'll be happy to be an ambassador over there if you need it.
Well, it's a good thing to bring up because having more people under our realm of uh, alliance, I guess you could say, is important. All right, let's get Tannen in here. Let's see what he has to say about it. He'll give us some real direction to take on how to achieve these things. But perhaps with the information about the Guildian, we keep that to a minimum on our long-term plans. Yeah? We don't
Yes,
completely know where his alliance lies.
I can. I understand this place has secrets and spies and all of that. I just miss my family, and I want my time here to be important enough to make change. And I agree that the formalities of what we're about to go through are important, and you have my hand.
All right. Well, Let's go back inside. We'll get Tannen in here. Bang it out.
Right?
All right, so to speed this along a little bit, you guys make your way over to Lord Tannen, say you're ready to discuss, and he says, let's go over to the council room. So I'm going to move you guys here. I'm going to take you over to the
Nice.
council room so you know where it is.
Forgot all about that. We got a spot to do this.
We need signs or no signs. Those are the choices.
Now, this is the room on the map of where the council room is, but while we're in the council room, just so we don't, we're thinking more in the abstract here, not necessarily tokens and so forth, I do have a different backdrop for the council chamber, so hopefully this will
Alright.
put you in more of the council kind of thought process. Alrighty, so as you guys make your way into the council room, you can see the way this is decorated. There's a very large table. The suits of armors lined up against the wall. You can see there's some different decorations and things around. You notice Lord Tannen will go ahead and take a seat near like the back of the table, and then he motions for all of you to sit as well.
Vin's will grab this chair. This bad boy. Right here.
All right.
I like it. It's got maps in front of it already.
Yep. Sit down.
All right, so once you guys are all seated, you notice Lord Tannen starts looking through this satchel. He undoes this cord that seems to be keeping this satchel tied closed, opens it, and you see pulls out, it looks sort of like a collection of parchments in different containers. So think of this almost as like a rough leather kind of book bag, almost in a way. And as he starts taking this all out, he says, well, there is very much that we have to do. I'm sure that, well, yes, the basics. Let's start at the basics. Well, you see, generally speaking, what you will, and you see he notices or looks towards you, Vin, as he says this, and kind of scans around at the rest of your companions. What you will be doing is sitting and ruling here in Cariele. That will be your number one priority, and a big part of that is listening to petitioners. In fact, for tomorrow, we already have 15 petitioners who wish to speak with the regent. Of course, they don't realize that's you yet, but they want to speak to the regent nonetheless. I also have 5 individuals who've requested private audiences with the regent. So we have a total of 20 people to meet, and that is a long day. So keep that in mind. Also, as far as how things go, typically, you may not be used to this, my lord, but the regent really doesn't meet with or talk with the workers. There needs to be a separation between the regent and the regular people, so they understand their place and don't start thinking of you as like a friend. Of course, they need to look at you as sort of have a bit of awe, right? Like, wow, that's the regent. That's very important for the staff, because if they start thinking of you as just a regular guy, well, that can really turn things sour. Why? Nobody wants to fight for just a regular guy. Nobody wants to work for a regular guy. They all want to be in service to somebody who's really important. And I don't mean this as an insult in any way, my lord, but the less they know about you, the more likely they will be able to believe that you are somebody important.
Noted.
So your
Yes.
suggestion of wanting to speak with all of the workers and just thank them, that sort of thing, I will certainly pass along your thanks to them, but somebody of your stature, you're much too busy, and you will be, and you see as says as he's looking through the parchments again, to do this yourself. You just won't have the time. You'll have to focus on many other important ideas and plans and things, and this is how the regular folks will know that you're hard at work. I mean, if you're just chatting it up with Joe the cobbler, they're going to wonder, why? What are you doing? Who's ruling the realm? That sort of thing.
I understand. I'm following. It will be new to me, of course, but we appreciate your guidance, Tannen.
He nods. Yes, and of course, as regent, you have final say, but I will just give you my opinion straight and let you know how I think it is best what you do. What you choose to do is up to you. I may push back if you suggest something that I think would be bad for you, but you ultimately have the final say. With Entier, I had to be very careful with what I said. He had a a bit of a thin skin. He didn't really take criticism well, so I had to really beat around the bush anytime I had to tell him something that he did not interpret as so positive. With you, I'm hoping we won't have to do that whole facade, but only time will tell. But I hope at least at the start here you will appreciate my directness.
Finn takes criticism all the time.
I have thicker skin than my uncle. And please do not hold your tongue. If you have something to say, I need to hear it.
Well, that is good to hear. Then, yes, I will simply give it to you straight, and then you can decide what it is that you wish to do. So, I understand after speaking with Entier and having my own different contacts and such, that there is going to be a guild representative that is appointed to your council. Have you given thought on how exactly you are going to approach that whole deal?
Definitely not with the tip of my dagger, if that makes you feel better.
Well, yes, but I didn't even think that was in consideration. I meant more along the lines of, are they going to join this group here and meet in council? Are they going to give you advice as you meet with petitioners? Or are you simply going to fill them in from time to time and keep them more at arm's length?
They will only be allowed to be present at meetings that they need to be part of. In terms of discussion on the realm, she made it quite clear that we are to stay separate from them, to not interfere with their business. So I'm sure they'll need to make sure that we are staying in accordance to that. But in terms of all of our council sessions involving every little thing, no, they do not need to be here. They do not need to listen to me speak to my people about how to take care of their problems. They only need to make sure that my business doesn't interfere with theirs.
And while I think that is a wise decision, this ambassador appointed by the guild, of course, will not look at this the same way. This will require a great deal of tact. You'll need to be able to explain to them that you highly value their opinion, but you wouldn't want to waste their time because you know that they must have many important plans and jobs that they must take care of since they're such highly held esteem of the Liberians, and sort of really lay it on thick for them so they don't feel insulted, but instead they feel as though you are actually doing them a favor. Now, this will be a highly difficult task because, well, we'll be lying, but really what we need is somebody who can deliver that with pomp and circumstance. Do you have somebody like that here?
We have a few that can handle those conversations, yes, including myself. I appreciate the
Well,
straightforwardness.
I might advise not taking this task on yourself. You have more what we will say is a go-getter kind of personality, and very decisive. And well, that's not what you need in this kind of negotiations. You need
Yeah,
somebody
he
who
said you
can.
need tact.
So,
Well,
Blixel
yes.
probably?
What's happening? I gotta talk some BS to somebody.
Do you think he would fit the mold, Tannen,
You see,
with your
Tannen
assistance?
kind of turns and looks at Blixel. And again, just speaking very, very bluntly here, people in this land are very much set in their ways. And I don't even know how to say this, but I don't even know what you are exactly, Mr. Blixel.
Well, I do have a disguise kit, and I can sort of cover my face up a little bit, but I don't know. That might be a scandal if I'm seen without it on.
You realize you have ears that are like 8 inches long, right?
Yeah. So
Well, most humans don't have ears that big, so you'll probably stick out quite a bit. You see, most of these people, they'll want to meet with who they assume is the ruler and the ruler's closest confidants and so forth. And typically that means they will look like your average Enwerian from this area.
okay. No, I mean, if I can't do it, I could probably convince them I was that. Honestly, I'm that good. But if it's an uphill battle, doesn't sound that fun.
Lord Tannen, back when we were in Rindell, we met an individual I recognized wearing a tavard that had the Carillion symbol on it. His name was Sergeant Combs. Are you familiar?
I am not, but that's not quite surprising. There are several sergeants in the military forces here, of course.
Are you suggesting someone in that kind of vicinity, or perhaps we hire someone on with the specific task of handling this affair?
I don't think you'll be able to hire anybody that quickly. This ambassador from the guild will be here, I'm sure, any day, and probably tomorrow or the next day, maybe a couple of days at most. But Miele's not one to sit around and wait for things to develop. She is somewhat like you, very decisive, and when she says she's going to do something, she does it. I guess what I'm saying is, looking amongst your companions here, we want somebody who looks like they could be your best friend, somebody who could, hold sway with you. And in most people's minds, that means really we'd be limiting this down to Mr. Dean here, perhaps Serena, and maybe in a pinch, if Mr. Blixel can do that disguise kit on Celine a bit, then maybe.
Well, trust me, Serena is probably not the one to schmooze people, but if you ever need someone hit or beat, she would be the one to pick. But she's not feeling well, so I will not speak for her on her ability to do so. I think she could take on the task. I also think Dean could take on the task as well.
I would
But
be honored to, my lord, if it is your wish.
after our discussion, Dean, I expected somewhat less of a position of importance. But I would love for you to do just that, if you'd be willing to.
Well, it would be bridging the gap between yourself and the guild, yes?
Yes, a bit of ass kissing it sounds like, right, Tannen?
Yes, that is a good way of putting it. See, you'll want to do everything you can to not offend this person, and knowing Miele, she will be doing everything she can to send somebody along who is going to push your buttons. That is just her way. Somebody who can listen, but really try to prod you and pull you and push you into a direction that she wants. I don't know exactly who this person will be, but needless to say, they will be very skilled with the diplomatic arts, and they will be able to weave innuendo into their commentary with very little effort. So what we need is somebody who can see through some of these, we will say, exaggerations or perhaps outright falsehoods, and without offending the other person, still carry on a good degree of composure, but seeing through the disguise. Do you understand what I mean, Sir Dean?
Yes, and sadly, Regent Regent Vin, I am I am quite wise. That is true. Probably the wisest that I've known in my tribe, which is why I'm the Cathbad. Uh, However, my wisdom is sadly ineffective when it comes to persuasion or intimidating or deception. It is mostly just on observing in nature involved. I mean, very little insight in many matters, but
Well, here's another thing you could do, but this would require a great deal of guile and cunning on your part. But you could have two of you sort of work together. Now, if you were to use, say, Mr. Blixel, he could be the one that tries to persuade things, but at the same time, Dean, you would have to always look as though you are the one who's in charge, and Mr. Blixel's just like your servant or your associate. You see, this representative will have to think that Mr. Blixel isn't really important and doesn't really have any sway. So you'll have to really, talk it up and sometimes say, "Shut up, Mr. Blixel," that kind of thing to really set the tone. Does that make sense?
I don't like this one. This is not a good plan.
Oh,
Well, of course, there are other options, but, well, maybe a different person who is also good at persuasion. But you get what we're going for here. One of you has to, unless it is, say, Dian and Serena, perhaps, then the two of you could serve as a united front. But as I say, I'm just afraid the guild is very much set in their ways.
All right, fine. I'll do it. I'm not gonna like it. All right. Don't go overboard with it. All right, because you can only push me too far.
well, yeah, I'll I'll treat you well enough as needed,
Strong but fair.
or as I decide.
No, you- All right. Just remember, after the meeting's over, we go back to normal.
Oh, okay. Agreed. The Regent Glandinil, I will serve you as the one of the ambassadors to the guild. Blixel?
There you have it, Tenon.
And I'll be his trusty manservant.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we have that, and you see he kind of scratches something off. Probably what would also be very beneficial here is Mr. Dian then should have some kind of official title. You'll want to grant him some kind of a title, maybe with an office, something he can really hang his hat on and that this guild representative will have to take seriously. He's not just some guy that sleeps at the castle, he's the well, you could of course make it up, but you could call him perhaps like a first officer or the ambassador of the nation or a counselor or an advisor, a personal advisor to the region, something with gravitas.
Yes, we've been working on titles with gravitas, and I will think of something.
Excellent, excellent. I hope that you do. Kind of scratches something else off. Okay, so that is the most important thing. Now, I know it is a little bit premature, but all of these petitioners that are coming tomorrow, we have just a little bit of information on them. Would you like to go over this so that you're prepared for when they arrive to speak with you?
Of course.
Okay, well, as I said, there are 15 of them. Let's see, the first one is this is actually an elven woman, and surprisingly, she works as an armorer here in the city, it seems. And let's see, she wishes for you to pass a law that makes it illegal for non-trained armorers to work here in the city. She wants like a process, like a schooling that you'd have to go through to train and get licensed to actually be an armorer. She says that her armor is of such the greatest quality that she feels that all the other armorers in the town, or at least those that are not capable, are doing a disservice and making her products look less valuable.
All right. Sounds. It doesn't sound like a bad idea, to be honest with you. I mean, having people sell bad things in our city could lead to negative reputation, and also at the same time, building up armorers could be beneficial to both us and the guild. So it sounds like a win-win on that one. But maybe she's coming at it from an egotistical standpoint. So we should speak to some of the other armorers to see if maybe it would be a collective opinion.
Part of the problem you have there, Lord, is that then that may cause other people to be without work, right? So just remember, good hand, bad hand kind of thing.
Well put, Tavard. But with that being said, you also have to think if this school or licensing thing is built, it would also open jobs for trainers and teachers, and it would allow armorers who do reach the licensing to take on apprentices, perhaps, that they could then get paid to do so. So you're right. Good
You know
point.
what
Good
we used.
point.
I mean, I'm not saying the dwarven way is the best way, right? But we did have like a writ or something that, or not a writ, but a written document showing when somebody was certified. Maybe let customers make that determination by whatever. If there's a certificate that they went to training, and make them put that on their door. They don't have it. That way, their people can know who's been properly trained or whatever, and not. I don't know.
I like it. Okay. Well,
That is
we
very
won't.
ingenious thinking, Mr. Tavard. See, that is exactly what you want to do in this scenario. See, you've just found a way to give her what she wants, but at the same time, not take anything away from everybody else. You are meant for this work. Well done.
And I'm also the cute one too. I mean, I've got both sides going for me.
Well, and then, of course, the next one, let's see, cycles through these parchments. Benedict Drake. Mr. Drake is opening a new inn here in Carolinian, and he has asked for the honor to name the inn after you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, oh. He wants to call it the Golden Boy Inn?
Yikes. Perhaps we can talk about name options, but that sucks.
Kind of agree. Yes, that's pretty bad.
And then if his inn goes bad or whatever, then they're gonna look at you like, your inn is, letting drunkards in or whatever. Who knows?
Okay. Well, anybody have any better names for that? Please be nice to me here.
It's
Better
not.
find out why he wants
You
to
don't need to pick the
first.
name. Just forbid him from using your name.
I mean,
For starters, don't tell him that he said it sucks.
yeah, that's
Well-
a good point.
What's up, Libby?
She like kicks in the door.
I didn't even know she snuck in. Welcome.
Kicks in the door. He goes, "What? You gotta have a secret meeting without me knowing?"
She's got like a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. I feel better now.
That's awesome.
Glad you could join us, Serena.
I stand when she comes in.
Could always ask just GPT chat to see what kind of names come up for the.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be. How about Vin's Inn? I mean, that sounds pretty straightforward, right? Vin Inn. Boom. It rhymes.
But I don't think you want people associating with. You don't know anything about this guy. He could be killing children in his basement.
That's a very good point, Blixel. Yes, yes. So perhaps we reject this offer, but kindly, and suggest maybe he take it in name of a previous ruler, or maybe after the realm itself, or the
Maybe
city.
something that's just so vague, like the Holy Crown Inn or something like that. Doesn't have to be your name and title, but can't see harm in something like that.
How about shit sandwich? Just kidding. But my vote is not good into business with people that are, you don't know much about. That's my 2 cents.
But it's not
What do you?
business, it's a place of honor.
Say that again. You were breaking up.
Sorry. I feel like no advertising is bad advertising. Like, it gives him a place of honor to start having things like named off after him and shit,
They're calling him boy. That's never good.
Yeah, well, not that.
Find out why he wants to do this. Just ask him that. Tell me you have a decision in 30 days. Call it good for now.
What do you suggest, Tannen?
Well, you could always take your friend Tavard's suggestion here and maybe use a name that is in honor of you, but it's not actually your name, right? And then that way it's kind of in the middle again, right? Like maybe you could go with the Brothers Respite.
Perhaps we could ask him to name it after Ban. My lost brother. The
Oh,
Lost Brothers Inn.
That's pretty good.
I like that.
It would be an honor for me to have him name his inn after my brother, and I feel like it would appease him. Yes.
maybe if you tell him that if you don't hear any bad things about his inn in like 6 months or whatever, you'll come dine there one night or something, or have one of us go out there, in your stead.
Okay. Do these sound acceptable, Tannen?
Yes, I think this sounds quite reasonable. Of course, you'll have to, when you meet with him and he asks for this officially, you'll have to see and get a check on vibe check, I might say. See if he's on the up and up, and see if such an idea will work for him. But yeah, I think you're on the right track.
Next. Haha. We got this, guys.
Yeah, we're nailing this.
I must say, I am pleasantly surprised. I was worried we were going to hear a lot of axes, heads rolling kind of thing. So, color me very impressed so far. The next one is.
Hey,
Oh, I'm sorry, madam.
Uh-oh.
you've little faith.
That is true. Unfortunately, reputations precede and such and so forth. The next one. Oh, how curious. Gizelex, a goblin miner. She wishes to go into the Five Peaks, and she's requesting funding for an expedition there. She's indicated that she believes that there is a rich vein in that province, in Punal, and well, if you were to fund this expedition, she would, of course, cut you in on all of the profits.
Made of what?
Doesn't say here. I would assume some kind of metal?
Sounds a bit open-ended. We already know that the Five Peaks have engaged in espionage against the Guild. We were firsthand in seeing that, and I'll pull my collar down a little bit so it shows that garrote scar.
You see, he kind of looks at it and then gives you a little bit of a grimace. Oh, see.
They sent some of their men to sabotage a logging camp back in Mountain's Edge. They were nearly successful, of course, except we stopped them, chased them away. I've been thinking about potentially reaching out to them, considering their goals. So we should take this into consideration, but one with more pristine footsteps, I think. First, we would need to investigate the area to make sure that it's not intruding upon anything that would, well, piss off the Five Peaks. They're a bit wild. The war chiefs claim provinces, from what I hear, right, Saline?
Something like that.
You piss off one, well, we'll have an army at our door quickly, and they'll be
Very,
pissed.
very unlikely, my lord. You see, the Five Peaks, and you see he looks over at Saline as he's saying this, they are not exactly a unified kingdom. You can think of each of the provinces within the Five Peaks as being its own mini domain. In fact, sometimes they actually fight amongst themselves. They really can't field an army per se. Of course, if you really angered them, a marauding band of berserkers, barbarians, that sort of thing could certainly try to cross the border, but I would not expect to see infantry, archers, cavalry, anything along those lines.
Do we know where this vein is? If we fund an expedition there, are the people who currently hold it going to react poorly to that?
It's a Kunal or something like that.
Yes, the province of Punal is where it is, but the province is very large. Let me show you this copy of the map that I keep around for just such a purpose.
Is there a way that you could make this map a handout for us, Adam?
The
So
regional
we
one?
could pop it up. So we could pop it open while we're talking like this.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I could do that. All right,
So
so Lord
Five
Cannon.
Peaks are here.
Yes, that is the full domain, but Punal is the province that has been mentioned by this petitioner.
Okay, so it's not too deep into Five Peaks, first of all. It's a big one.
And is it
Tide.
like different races in those different that run each different province? Like is
Lord
one
Tana
like
nods to you. Yes, yes, indeed. Some of the provinces are ruled by Orogs, some are ruled by humans, and others are ruled by goblins.
what's the area of Punal ruled by?
Unfortunately, it changes as often as the wind does, but I believe our last estimate had a goblin war chief.
Uh, Question, of course. I mean, obviously this is all cool and all, but you always back the person, not the project, right? So what do you? Is there anything known about this person? What I mean, are they well known in this area? Are they, have they done this kind of stuff before? Is this their first gig or what?
None of that is listed, Mr. Tavard, unfortunately. Female goblin miner, but curious. But no credentials are listed here, just a name, Giselex, and a request for expenses. You could, of course, ask those kind of questions when the petitioner arrives.
Also, if she is a goblin, is there potential that she's from this area and this is some kind of rival from another miner that she's trying to seek funding for? Perhaps maybe we get a little bit of background into her and her back experience doing this.
Yes, that would be wise. Yes, feel free to ask those kind of questions when you speak with her.
On the topic in general, I do think it would be a good idea to have at least some idea of what's going on over there with our neighbors, and also having well, having people come back with resources that could expand our wealth is nice as well. So maybe a cut of what they bring profit-wise, we should talk about as well.
Yes, indeed. Think of those things. Feel free to discuss amongst yourselves before you meet with the petitioner, but this at least gives you a little bit of a future sight into what is going to be requested.
All right. Do you have another?
Yes, of course. There are several more here. He looks away from the map. Let's see. The next is a Mr. Roger Montague. He says that he is a sailor and he wishes for a ship to be purchased. And he doesn't say something to do with trade. Oh, this doesn't quite make sense. Trade or I guess trade. Yeah, that's what I would take from this trade. It says if you purchase the ship, then he will give you 50% of everything he makes in trade until 150% of your investment is paid off.
Well, based on your lack of information just right there, it seems like we should probably get more from him. What trade specifically? Is he out pirating with a ship in my name, or is he ferreting goods from one place to another? Is he a smuggler doing this illegally under the radar? That's a lot of variables for me.
Indeed, getting clarification on all of those things would be good.
Yeah, especially since there's no real water around here, right? I mean, isn't that going to cost him a lot more to bring things back and forth and far away from your kingdom? I don't know.
Well, the Rude River, of course, runs on the northern border of Cariele and then heads out into the sea there, into the, I could get you the official name if you'd like it. The Tail Firth. Yes, that's it. Of course, there it is. But that river, while not so broad or wide on the eastern side of the provinces of Riverford and Mountain's Edge, it is actually quite wide as it makes its way to the Tail Firth. So, I suppose if you were to purchase this for him, maybe he uses it on the river. He doesn't say exactly what kind of ship. It looks like he wants to discuss that with you, but it's either a river-going vessel or maybe he wants to take to the seas and he would send money back somehow.
Sounds like a scam. You never see him again.
It does sound like that to me as well. But let's think of this from an objective perspective for a moment. What's the cost of a ship, Tannen?
Well, it depends on the type of ship that you're looking for. Anywhere between 2 and, say, 20 gold bars?
Well, let's take the average of 11. 11 gold bars, 150% would be, what is that, 18 gold bars in return?
My lord, 150% would be more like 15 to 16 gold bars, depending on how he's calculating.
18 to 19 sounds better to me.
We
If we
only
were to
have 20, so
expensive to spend our money on A, an expedition, a B, a ship, an elf armor school, and also an inn. However, we're not paying for the inn, we're just giving away credibility for my name, but a lot of people are asking for money right away, and this sounds like the most expensive of any of them. Backtracking a bit, Tannen, how much do you think an expedition would cost a Punal?
Well, based on what is written here by Gizelex, she's looking for a half a gold bar, so that would run you about 1,000 gold pieces.
Much more manageable of an endeavor.
I don't like her name.
Yeah, and I don't think that elf was asking you to. If I could be wrong, but I don't think she was actually asking you to fund an academy. I think she was just wanting it that only those with academy could be. Just the law. That's what she was asking for, not cash.
I understand, but based on what we talked about, we'd probably have to spend money to get those things in place. So I was just thinking about the solution part and not just her ask. But if we're talking about that directly, we can't pass a law specifically stating that those kind of things right away, right?
let's just make a fake school, all right? And they just give us, 25 gold pieces, and they get the certificate.
Where have I heard this one before?
I think it would work. I'll be honest.
Well, we would need to have some type of high level armorer be the one who certifies them. I mean, it couldn't just be us. I have no way of
This,
knowing quality of armor like that.
this sounds like a whole bunch of rigmarole. Right when we're not trying to spend money, I don't think it's a good idea to try to open up some certificate program.
That's well. Let's go on to the next one. That one there, I think we're going into a. They're not even asking for an academy, so.
He's right. Tavada's right. We're getting ahead of ourselves with building this and that. He's right. But in terms of cost, we should get an idea of what a solution to her problem would cost. That would be beneficial no matter what. Still, half a gold bar for an expedition versus potentially 10 or so, maybe 6, 7 to have a ship built. That seems a little costly, at least at this moment. So, we'll hear him out, but I think with that one, we'll have to reject his offer just because our funds are tight at the moment. We won't give him that as our reason, but that is the reason that we know.
Lord Tannen nods. That seems fair. Move on to the next one, my lord.
Sounds good. Unless anyone has any more comments about the previous that they have left unspoken.
Sounds like we are
Appears
good to
not.
move on then. Okay, let's see. The next one here is one Katrine McKinnon, a young lady, apparently, based on this handwriting, if I'm not mistaken. She says she wants permission to make sure that the merchants that are traveling the roads within Cariele are all on the up and up and that they're following all of the laws. She wants to be able to go and sort of stop them and speak to them and make sure everything's on the up and up, and if not, to seize their goods in case they are on the wrong side of the law.
No.
Would you like me to tell her that without seeing her, or do you want to see her?
I don't want to. Go ahead. Sorry.
Lord Tannen, do we have a regulation force on the roads already?
Well, as you may know, that the regent of Cariele does have some influence in the lands here with the law holdings in place, but truly the guild's law holdings are more expansive and stronger.
Hmm.
And does the guild have a specific law about goods that can be coming in and out of this area? I'm assuming they probably have some idea of what's being transported.
Well, that
Yes?
is a good question, my lord. You see, the guild does not actually pass laws. That would be up to you. So their law holdings, you can think of this as more as almost like sort of like armed militias, right? Where they protect things, but the things they protect really are guild assets. So if they see somebody cutting down trees, for example, then they'll make sure that those are guild cutters and not just some miscellaneous people doing some wide swath cutting. Of course, cutting one tree or something they're not going to care about, but if someone's trying to start a shop up or something and really do a mass cut down, they would be all over that. They also are here in the capital. You will see them on occasion. They protect all of the assets of the guild, the different buildings, the different guild outposts, those sorts of things. So they don't make laws. That would be up to you, my lord, if you wish to do that. The current laws on the books are pretty bare bones. Essentially, it just says, you only have the things that you own, and a deal is a deal if both sides agree, and things are documented or important, that type of thing.
So I'll
So
put my
essentially,
hand.
go ahead.
I'll put my hand on Finn's arm and lean in and whisper, "This seems like guild business."
Well,
And I'll kind of give him a nod and say two things. First, it would be a good time for that guild ambassador to come in when that meeting is taking place, for them to overhear that, I believe, considering, well, its connections to their importance. Second, if we have bare bone laws, what is this person getting their opinion of good versus bad from? Is this because perhaps they were scorned in some way? Does it say anything about banditry or any kind of rogue marauders in the area?
Give me a blind check here, Ben. You notice Lord Tannen kind of like, as you're saying this, he nods and he says, if I am reading between the lines here, my lord, I think this woman is asking for your permission to perform banditry on the merchants. She's not saying that directly, obviously that would be illegal, but she's trying to say that in a roundabout way.
That's what I figured. That's why my immediate reaction was no. It sounded to me like she was the one who would be doing the robbing. I think it's important that we meet her nonetheless because we need to know who this person is and perhaps keep an eye on them, but we'll say no to them directly.
well, let me chime in just here a second. But she doesn't actually list what the law breaking is, though, right?
She does not, no. She simply says to make sure they are on the up and up, is the word she has used.
Yeah. So here's the challenge. Obviously, I think you should still hear her out, like you said, because what you don't want to have happen is her then going around telling people that, well, you brought up that people were breaking the law and you wouldn't even hear her out. Um, you don't know what law was broken. It does sound like maybe she's got her own ambitions in mind, but, and you're right too. I think listening to her and then maybe, if you find out you don't trust her or something like that, then you can have her watched. But you can't give the impression that you don't care about the law either.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Perhaps we should think about setting a law for those standards specifically, where we could answer her question, but not allow her to conduct the business she's trying to,
Yeah, give
right?
her the laws that she's not expecting. That's right.
A law needs to be made no matter what, though, because we do need to make sure that people aren't, well, bringing in dangerous things into our province. Drugs, weapons that for who knows what, things like that. It would be nice to have some kind of patrol that keeps an eye on those things. Maybe a check-in station where your wares are checked by officials from the government or something.
Such an endeavor would be very costly and very difficult to enforce. I mean, well, the borders are quite open, except for the south. As you know, there's not a whole lot of movement there. But to our west, our north, our east, is not much we can do when individual or small groups cross the border. We don't patrol them constantly, as I'm sure you know.
No, I'm aware that there's not people roaming the woods. I I hear you. I hear everyone's opinion on this. I definitely think we should hear them out and have more questions asked. I definitely don't want to give someone permission to rob people.
You see Lord Tannen nod.
Yep,
Yes.
this is an easy no. But let's hear her out and see if she's dangerous. If she is, we take away her weapons.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Anything else, Tannen?
I think that says as much as I could have said.
All right. And any more things that we should prepare for, or are the rest just going to have to be in the moment?
Well, there are still 10 more petitioners, and then 5 others have requested a private meeting. But perhaps we should break for a moment here to get some refreshment. Does that agree with you, my lord?
Sounds great.
Who cares what my lord says? I'm gonna agree.
I've got to piss like a racehorse. So
Perfect
excuse
timing
me.
there, guys. All right, we will take our 15-minute break here, folks, and we will show up on the other side. See everybody back in 15. Alrighty, we are back into the second half of our session. Team, you're still in the council chambers here with Lord Tannen as he is reviewing the petitioners with you. So after the refreshments have been brought in and everybody has a glass in front of them, Lord Tannen takes a sip of what looks to be an apple juice or something along that line. And then you see he looks over towards you, Van, and he says, "All right, my lord, shall we continue?"
I think so, but real quickly before we move on, while we were breaking, I was using the latrine. I had a thought about that first elf armorer. Perhaps we could have her return with other armorers who agree with her and see how many just have this idea. I think knowing if it's a personal vendetta or if it's an overall sentiment would be nice, and hearing from multiple sources could also give us ideas on how to properly handle it.
You could definitely ask that of her if you wish. If I had to go out on a limb here, being that she is a elven armorer, I don't know that she will have much in the way of associates or compatriots. The elves, those who live here in our realm, they tend to keep to themselves. Unfortunately, most of the folk here in our lands are not really fond of elves, so elves kind of have sort of an outsider's existence.
If it's possible, could you request that when she comes for an audience that she brings proof of her craftsmanship?
I'm sure she would acquiesce to that request. Yes, I will make sure that she is notified of that.
Thank you. No, I think that's all I had in terms of my thought process while I was gone, so I can continue.
Excellent, excellent. So the next on the docket here is one Emmeline Cleves. See, she is a soldier and she is working in your military. She wants a promotion. She dislikes the current captain of the guard, one Mr. Francis Wrightingham. She says he is far too old and has started to lose his cunning edge. She says she would like his job, or if not that, a promotion.
Aren't there not proper channels of which complaints can be brought up and not be burdened upon the regent of Cariele?
You could certainly tell her that if you wish, but I suspect, being that her superior is the one that she wants replaced, she can't really take her complaint to him.
There's no
Could
one above.
we
Oh, sorry. Ugh. I rub my temples in my head.
could we request that she bring this Sir Francis with her? Have this discussion together in
That would
front
be
of
a
me.
very awkward conversation, I
You
think.
notice Lord Tannen nodding at you fervently here, Saley.
Let's bring the complainant and the subject in here for this sorted out.
That's how HR did it back in my old job.
Oh my god.
I feel like
That
Serena should deal with this one, right, Serena? You're sort of going to be in charge of warfare and whatnot.
But she's still, in the latrine.
So I have a lot of questions, like whether there's anybody in between this person and the person in charge.
Yeah, who is his superior then?
He would report to the Seneschal, which you don't have right now. As a reminder, the Seneschal is one of the individuals who has left.
And remind me the Seneschal's responsibilities.
The Seneschal you can think of as like a house master. This is somebody who takes care of all of the administrative details. They work with all the heads of the different areas, so all of the various factions, so the sewer workers, for example, and the guards and the bakers, all of those people, they report those issues up to the Seneschal. The Seneschal then takes those, and anything that he deems as really pertinent, he then would elevate up to you, my lord. But right now you don't have one, so all of those are coming directly to me, which is bringing to you.
Two questions I have about that specifically. The first is how much does it cost to retain a seneschal? And the second is who was the previous seneschal?
Well, the cost of a seneschal is based on experience and so forth. Typically, you would look at somewhere in the realm of maybe a half a gold bar up to 2 gold bars if they were quite experienced and had a lot of credentials under their hat. As far as the previous seneschal, that was one Mr. Fastenberg Child, who was a halfling, believe it or not, and seemed to, well, as far as I can tell, he seemed to be more in line with how the guild did things than really how the regent did. I think he may have even been on the guild's payroll.
Well, it sounds like another thing that we should do is meet with the heads of all of these faculties and let them know that there's going to be a change in that regime, and we should probably get into a search for a new one. Wouldn't you agree?
As
Absolutely.
well, yes, you could do that. Of course, if one of your trusted associates here wish to take on the role of seneschal, then all of this mundane could be filtered to them first, and they could decide what needs to come to the full group and how to answer the smaller efforts if you think that is wise.
I do. The one who comes to mind that seems perfect for the title would actually be Celine.
I nod.
How so? I'm not a people person.
You don't have to be. You have to be an understander of people, a listener, compassionate, while also stern. Sounds right up your alley. You're smart enough to know what is important enough for everyone to know and what's important enough to be taken care of by the individual faculties. What are you going to do? Read all day?
Yeah.
Well, if you think that's best, but
Well, I nominate you. Do I have a second? I look around at my companions.
I nod.
Well,
Tavert's not going to nominate someone who doesn't want to do anything. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
And I look at her and I say, it's up to you though to take on that role, but I do believe that it would be something your abilities and personality is right for.
Sounds like a lot of talking to people, but I guess out of the frying pan into the fire, huh?
Well, sounds like a lot of
Talking,
listening, actually.
talking to people, listening, managing people, and talking to direct reports that we don't have anymore. We're going to need it's going to take a lot of work to get these systems back online.
Well, perhaps you and Serena could do that together. Take on the role together for at least a little bit until the position settles in and becomes easier to manage or to
Alright,
Vard.
well,
I've already noticed that some people just, maybe not like my kin, if you know what I mean.
So
Yeah,
this halfling, Lord Tannen, is that a common, I guess, race?
There are some halflings here in Cariele, and there's actually an area of the city that is known as Little Town, which is a group of all the halflings that live here. Almost all of them live in that area, but no, they're not especially common here. Perhaps in the entire city, maybe 50 or so.
And how would you describe the rarity of dwarves?
Oh, and you see he kind of looks over at Tavard as he's talking. Well, our closest dwarven neighbor here would be Merkalad, and they're not exactly the sociable folk, so we don't get a whole lot of dwarves here. There are occasionally some, and in fact, there is actually a dwarf petitioner on the list, but overall, I would say probably a couple of dozen regulars in the town, something like that.
Hmm.
well, Celine, Serena, I guess while we're on the topic, it's up to you, but we could always hire someone. I have no problem with that, but we could
We don't
save
have money
money
right now. Yes.
if the two of you would like to do it.
Wait, hang on. Are we not getting paid?
That's right.
We
No,
probably should have discussed this
You're living in a
before.
castle.
Yeah.
Wait, am I getting paid? I guess I am. Yeah, I
Whatever.
can
We'll
pay you
figure
guys.
this out later. I'll do
listen.
what you need me to do.
Whenever we need money, a juicy adventure is going to fall on our doorstep. We're just going to go out and get that treasure.
That
With
sounds
2 to 3
awfully
weeks
convenient.
warning.
my first adventure is to the basement.
Okay. Well, that settles it. Seneschal Celine and Seneschal Serena. Huzzah!
As far as this practitioner goes, you could just say, hey, you'll agree to revisit it after 90 days after the Seneschar is in place,
I agree. That does sound like the correct way, but we should still hear a feisty soldier of my military out. If
Oh, I still
she,
think listen to him, of course, because you don't want people
yeah,
think you don't listen.
well said. All right.
What of his other subordinates? If the claims she made are true, then it's probably an opinion that's shared by a lot. Does he have a lot of direct reports? He said he was the
Well,
captain of a guard.
He
like
is
complaints or
indeed the
anything?
captain of the guard, yes, so there would be several different individuals of Emmeline's rank that report up to him, so yes.
Does he have any previous complaints on file? Any other mentionings of bad behavior or anything similar?
Unfortunately, I don't have any records of that. Of course, a lot of the records were not well kept in the previous administration. I don't even know where those might be, to be honest. I suppose you have a few options here. You could hire an investigator to go speak and see what kind of information they can gather and try to get a third party view of exactly what is going on in the ranks.
I was just
We,
gonna say we need to conduct an investigation.
we need to know if he's owned by the guild, too.
Perhaps having her take over his position, if possible or accessible or the right thing to do, could also give us a hand in creating loyalty to us and not the guild.
Perhaps she has indicated that he is very old, so I suspect that means she's not quite as old, but to be demanding a promotion, she can't be very young, or at least I wouldn't suspect so.
Well, we'll hear her out, and we are going to let her know that we are initiating a hiring process for the new seneschal, and 60 days from now, we will revisit this problem with someone hired in place to hear it properly, and also we'll conduct an investigation over those 60 days to determine some issues we may find ourselves. Sound fair?
You see, he nods. Yes, I think that sounds reasonable.
Anyone else have anything else to say about this one? Nice. Good job, guys. We're kicking ass tonight. Taking names.
Yeah, only 14 more to go.
Bring them on, Tannen. And also, I'd like to mention in the future when you recommend hiring this or that, could you also just slap a price tag on it so we know?
I can certainly give you rough estimates. I'm not an expert in all of the pricing, but rough estimates, yes.
Well, we'll trust you as trusty treasurer.
Yeah, Tannen, we really appreciate your help here, but could I ask you, with so many other people just sort of jumping ship, what made you decide to stay and stick it out with us? Just the money?
No. Actually, your group asked me the same question just recently when we were down below. But the short of it is, I kind of made somewhat friendship with Entier, you could say, and that got me interested in the whole ruling and how things work and the whole administrative aspect of the domain and the castle and all of that. And then I met Lady Nova, and I must say I was very much taken with her. I felt very bad for her. She seemed like a very precious soul in a very bad situation. So anytime I had an opportunity to speak with her or be in a room with her, I just always made it a habit to treat her very fairly and listen to her. She always seemed to have a great deal of wisdom that other people didn't seem to appreciate too much. So, once I realized the predicament that she was in, I tried to, ease any of her burdens and just be there, an ear to listen.
And good, but
when she said her head started hurting, when did that start?
Oh, that's been a recurring condition for several years. I want to say I wasn't here this entire time, but I believe she has told me in the past that it happened a few years after the passing of the previous regent.
And did she ever mention that she had a son? Is this a surprise to you?
I must say that Lady Nova kept me quite close in her confidence. We became, I would like to say, good friends, and she did reveal some details to me, but if it is not too offensive, I would not dare betray her trust by revealing those things, even to this very stalwart group.
and that's fair and kind of you. And I hope that that tongue of yours stays private when other people would inquire the same things about this stalwart company. But she did request that she be included, and I would love to have that. So maybe we could speak about having her move to the castle and her participation in these meetings, because I'm sure from her knowledge of how my father ran things, it would be nice to hear about, well, how it was previously ran.
You notice he winces a bit. My lord, she is actually already in the castle. As you will remember, at the Hog's Head Bar, she asked if it was okay if she stayed in the castle, and you said, of course she could. So, yes, she is already here. In fact, when we returned, she took to her room, for she is feeling not well. I'm afraid those headaches really have come back strong for her today. And if I can just add a little bit of context here, what I would say is that I don't think you will find her very valuable on this kind of a sitting. She's not much for the details and the minutia and all of that. she finds it to be very taxing. Now, if you had a specific question that you wish to ask her, I would say, by all means, visit her whenever you wish. I'm sure she would be more than happy to see you at any time, my lord. But to bring her in here and make her do this kind of work, it's very intensive. Look at all of us, how much time we've already spent, and I would hate to press that upon her.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let's get back to the matters at hand then. What's next?
Excellent, excellent, my lord. Yes, let us move to the next one. Let's see, one Mr. Gavin Boulder down, a minister, a minister associated with the Northern Reformed Church. He wishes to officially welcome you and bless you as the new regent of Cariele. He even indicates here that the high priests of the church would see this as a very great day and a blessing, and they say that they would even be willing to channel the divine magic to bless your realm as long as you're willing to be anointed in the light of the church and swear to their oaths and ideals.
And that oath and ideals would be under what deity?
Well, the Northern Reformed Church, of course, is of Ceremi, so it would be of the deity Ceremi. And, well, when they say this, the oaths of Ceremi, I can tell you just from my own past experience, they're very loose. Essentially, what this means is, think of this as the they don't want you to mess in their affairs kind of agreement.
So are you a member?
I am not, though most of the people here in the provinces are. The Church of Ceremi is very, very large. It is, in fact, dominant in all of this land.
Yes, I mentioned earlier what an asset of import they would be. However, the not to be rude to those who are divine in this room, but it sounds to me like they are using this blessing as a way to conduct their business without oversight.
What, my lord, are you familiar with what they're referring to as far as the divine magic, the blessing on the land?
I am not, no.
I've experienced a couple of times in the past that the guild occasionally would ask the temples here if they could do such an effort, and the temples were usually very amenable to such things. But you see, the priests, they channel this magic and it layers a blessing upon the land. And this blessing, it is hard to really describe, but it's almost like you have a little bit more pep in your step, and somehow it seems as though the crops, they just grow a little bit better. And in every dealing, it's almost like somehow more money is generated. It's just everybody feels good. Everybody's in a good mood, and things just seem to, well, they always look on the bright side, you might say. And anytime this happened, we always noticed our coffers having more money come into them.
Well, it does sound nice.
Blixel gives a big thumbs up.
I don't have a problem with it, and I would like to be allied with them and not against them in any way, especially with the holdings that they do have. But it does need to be mentioned that it does worry me that they're hoping that this may allow me to turn a blind eye to some of their actions. Is that what you're suggesting, at least? This partnership is they do their thing, I do our thing, and then they give us this short-term blessing?
Well, when you say turn a blind eye, it's hard to know exactly what that means. You see, the Northern Reformed Church here, they are very, very much invested in this land. And, well, like I said, the vast majority of all of your citizens worship at these temples, at these churches, and so forth. So when they say they don't want you interfering with their efforts, essentially what that means is that if you were to expand your domain here, ruling your province to make them more civilized and things, the church would naturally want to fill in the gap of any available temple space, you could say, and they wouldn't want you to try to invite other temples in, or, of course, they certainly wouldn't want you to show grace to another lesser church or another lesser temple holding of some such, that they would look at that as a great insult.
Sorry, Dean.
So, yes, referring to Eric.
Well, I suppose, yes, there is one tiny, tiny holding of Eric still in these lands, but I must say it holds almost no influence whatsoever, so you won't see much problem in just disregarding them.
Adam, I'd like to go ahead and give an insight check to see if he's holding anything back or trying to be more persuasive in regards to maybe his own ends.
Sure, yeah, give me a blind check there, Tabard. Oh, did you have your token selected there? Maybe the sandbox crashed.
Yeah, I have my large token selected. One moment, I'll do it
Oh,
again.
actually, now it just came through. Maybe it's just delayed. No worries. I got it here. So you don't get the impression that he has any kind of double meaning here. He's just speaking very bluntly. This is how he views the land.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. He sounded like he was trying to talk it up a little bit, I wasn't sure maybe he, kind of forced it or something.
Tannen, what about Halen?
What about him, my lord?
Aren't there some small temples of Halen around as well?
Oh, there may be some, again, very teeny tiny devotions to Halen in this land, but as I said, the vast, vast majority of all of your citizen worship Ceremony, and that has been the way it's been for quite some time.
Quite some time. Is there an exact time limit? Because I will tell you one secret here. Not the entire depth of the secret, of course, but we did come across a specific religious. What's the word I'm looking for? Uh, well,
Ceremony, text, maybe?
no, it's hard to place, but it's almost like it was a monument or leftover divine presence, but we came across a tree of Eric.
Well, that I don't know exactly what a tree of Eric is, but what I can tell you is, in the past, this land looked very different according to the history books. This must used to be a well, the followers of this land, they worship the Druids and the Way of Eric much more deeply. But since the guild's influence is way expanded and they've brought a lot of money into the land, devotions and allegiances have changed over the past couple of decades.
It's understandable, of course. That's how sociology works. I'll have to say, just right off the bat, it does worry me to, I guess, anoint myself that way towards ceremony, although it's a double-edged sword, as Tavard would say, because the other side of it would be we would gain a great ally, potentially, and one that holds power already, and one that our followers already sees as something that does good for our land. So the other side is that, well, it's kind of two parts. First part is I don't like potentially making it seem like our land is one religion only. I know that there are holdings of other religious followers here, and I would not want it to make it seem like they are being intruded upon in any way. So I can understand the guild taking, or the temple taking a little bit of slight if another one was to move in, and I could promise to maybe restrict that. But those that are already here, I cannot send them away.
They are not requesting that you do anything like that. They just want you to, well, be anointed in the light of Ceremony, and then that would show that you are dedicated to Ceremony's ideals, and that would send a message that the church and the crown are one and one on matters. That's sort of what they're looking for.
How about you ask one of their clergy to come and see you like 2 hours a week or something, so you can get a better idea on if you I mean, maybe there's the political side, but the religious side, maybe you feel more comfortable after a couple of hours a week for, we'll say, 4 sessions or something.
That's
I don't
have
mean our
that,
game session. I mean, Discord session.
Do they have a pamphlet?
Do you all remember when we were in Rendell and we were in those ruins underneath, and I told you something?
Ouch, that
Yes,
hurts.
No,
I remember. Well, you weren't there,
I know.
but yes, I know what you're talking about, Vin.
Okay.
This is one of those compromise things, I think. This blessing will help a lot of people, right?
Yes, it sounds that way. A lot.
Sounds like you will
Extensive.
get you will be looked upon favorably upon this blessing as well, because predominantly it is the religion of choice. What I'm hearing.
Sounds like we'll see the priest. That sounds fair. I can't say that I'm going to be going to church every Sunday, though. I hope they don't expect that from me.
Oh, no, my lord. They don't expect that at all. As long as you do this anointment, then stay out of their business, they would have no other requirements for you, I am sure.
And could you maybe give me like a list of like the things ceremony's about? Because I have no idea.
Oh, well, I am not the most devout or knowledgeable of this. Hey, Celine, you want to make a
Yeah,
note?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm finding my
everybody on the
token.
table
Here comes
leans
the
down
Lord
over.
dump. Let's go.
Wow. Okay. All right. So
Fuck it up
yeah,
again.
nat 20. So
Oh, there you
every
go.
time
Oh,
you do one of these, you crush it. All right. So Cerami is an alternative name to the deity known as Sarah. Here in Anweir, she is referred to as Cerami. She is the inheritor of Brenna's power. She's associated with wealth and luck, and her symbols are scales.
Okay. I can. Yeah. Let me.
It's time to convert.
Wealth and luck.
That's what we need right now.
doesn't sound bad. And he kind of leans back and smiles and goes, "All right."
Oh, she's
Well,
literally my god's wife, by the way. I
He
was
is
reading.
indeed, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so that's why I know a lot about it.
you can see Celine just starts lore dumping. And we're like, "Okay, Celine. All right, all
Oh,
right."
did you get all that? Do you want me to keep going? Because I can. That was like a 30 or something.
And
25.
seeing her reaction, their reaction, I will look over towards Tannen and say, "I will receive this blessing. You can let the minister know."
He nods. Oh, excellent, my lord. And you see he scratches another note in the parchment. Shall we move on to the next petitioner, my lord?
Indeed.
Okay. This individual is named Usk. Very unusual. He says he needs to speak with you about a threat coming from the Stone Crown Mountains. He says he hears a lot of loud noises and voices up in the mountains, and he suspects that there's some kind of gathering of giants.
As you see Vince trying to like keep up with taking notes, he goes, "Oh, well,
You know what Serena wants to do.
Vin kind of smiles and says, "Well, yes, we need to hear out any and all threats that could potentially cause problems in our realm, yes?"
One thing I should note here, my lord, is when this individual presented himself to be registered as a petitioner, he was wearing very tight-fitting clothing and had a hood up, and the individual said he seemed to take a lot of steps to conceal his self, his body, his form.
No one should be covered in the presence of the regent.
Well, with a name like Usk, let's think about the background of that name. I mean, I would assume he's potentially racially not from around here.
It's fine, but you should reveal his face before he steps up before the regent.
We'll hear him out. Sounds reasonable. However, he'll have to understand that we cannot have someone concealing themselves and hiding anything that they may be holding in our presence and in the presence of anyone in this council.
I can certainly make him aware of this, and well, like you say, if he is a being of not a local, that's okay. I assume he has nothing to fear and so forth, right?
Not from us? No.
Fear meaning respect, or fear meaning danger?
I suppose both, Mr. Dean. You see, occasionally, like with Giselex, the Goblin Miner, these, say, more unusual or exotic individuals do come to court on occasion, and, well, the goblins, being our neighbors, of course, are well enough known that that's not so unusual, but this Mr. Usk, who knows what he may be.
I don't think we should start doing what people have been starting to do to me.
And what have
I-
they been doing to you?
Oh, he
They
gets dirty looks everywhere.
yeah.
Well, that's fine, but in
I
the
Even
gotta
back
be
in the
your.
hamlet.
I have to be your manservant in this next thing.
well,
I
in the
don't
present,
like it.
yeah, of course, but in the presence of the regent, no man or woman shall be masked.
No,
It's
definitely
Well,
not.
safe.
unless there's a disease or something going around. We don't want.
You write your hands on the table. Yes, of course.
Oh yeah, I think we can all agree on that. No disguises.
It may be necessary for him to do so in the meantime, though, until we can receive him. I think is what is being suggested.
Could we receive him in private, Lord Tannen?
I am not.
Absolutely. If you wish to
I'm not.
convert him to a private meeting, we could certainly do that.
Yes, all I'm merely saying, regardless of the inferences you guys made, I don't think anyone should be in the presence of the regent Vin Glandinel with a covered face.
And that's fine, and I agree. However, I think we should let this man know, or whatever, know that we believe that we want to hear him out, and we understand that he is trying to keep his identity a secret, but he cannot do so in front of us. And we ask that in return for him revealing his identity to us and who he is, that we can have this meeting in private and hear him out more thoughtfully.
Seems fair.
I will certainly pass that message along.
Now let's pause for a moment and not just think about his race, but his problem. A threat from the mountains is not good. I mean, they're one of our biggest sources of protection, naturally. Second, if he comes from that area and he's heard the voices, but he has not seen anything, but he has traveled all this way, it must be perhaps of I mean, it seems like a worthy fear, right? I mean, no one would travel all this way for two reasons I can think. One is honest fear, and two is an assassination attempt. So, yeah, maybe we throw a couple of extra guards in the room too, Tannen?
or a different message entirely, just to gain court with the regent.
Do giants usually meet like that?
I'm afraid my knowledge or information on giants is almost non-existent, my counselor.
You almost said it. You can call me my lord. It's all right. It's gonna happen soon.
You notice he kind of like grins for a second and realizes like a proper protocol and stops and, no, of course, just a slip of the tongue, of course, counselor.
I'm just worried. I'm not usually against unionizing, but if these giants decide to all suddenly get together and do something, we might be in some trouble.
Are giants abominations by chance? Does anybody know what that is?
Yeah. Does Celine have any sort of?
Can I do a nature check on that, Adam? Or I don't even
I
know
would
what.
say this term and how it relates to this world is going to fall under history. Do we have any history proficient folks?
I
Yeah.
have expertise in history.
All right, whoever has that, feel free to throw me a check. Okay, holy moly, yes you do. Okay, Saley, with your check, you would know that abomination is the common word that is used for the Anshalan. So as a reminder, the Anshalan are those who have Azrai's blood and their body has been twisted by that bloodline and they've become essentially monsters. Some of them actually rule domains, however. And the common folk, they can't really pronounce Anshalan. They don't know what that means. They don't know the spelling of it, none of that. So they just call them abominations.
Understandable.
But they could spell abomination.
Probably they can't spell it, but they say it, right?
Phonetically, it's not that hard to say.
And is there like a domain that was at war with Elven Kingdom that was ruled by one of these things?
Are you asking that
Gorgon,
question?
right?
Yeah, Blixel will ask Celine that.
Saline, new history check. So, maybe you're not so super up on like the histories as far as like the wars of who has fought who, but moving us back to the map briefly. What I will throw out here is that the Elven kingdom closest to you is Terhiaville, of course. That is here to your northeast. The closest Anshalan to you would be the Gorgon, who is thought to be the most powerful of all of the Anshalan, at least in Enweir and maybe in all of Cerilia. And he is the regent of Gorgon's crown, and he also controls both Markazor and Mer-Kalad as puppet kingdoms.
Okay.
I see.
So
So
it's
that
like
kind of tracks.
surrounding.
Yeah, that kind of tracks with what we read from the letter, right? Because it's the Elven Prince of Torhiaville who wanted those stones or whatever to help fight. So it makes sense that
Yeah.
You got it.
And speaking of those stones, we need to still attune to those, right, for them to start working?
No, they're bound to you already, buddy. When we
Yep.
got those, remember we did the binding ceremony?
Okay. And then I got a cloak. So does that mean I'm just like randomly turning invisible, or do I have to actively like do it?
So
If you
yeah,
look under items, there's a little bracket called Hero Stones, and you hit that one, where,
Okay.
and then you can pull it up, and it's yours specifically, and it'll show you all the things about it.
right. And a reminder: the Hero Stone, the abilities attached to the Hero Stones, they only activate when you spend a hero point.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. Okay. Um. Well, so it doesn't sound like giants are. They don't have anything to do with this Azraid blood, right?
Geographically, potentially unlikely, but the descendants of Azrai, I would assume, have kind of like dispersed throughout the. Because it's not like if I understand it correctly, it's kind of a very reviled kind of thing. So I don't think there's going to be unless the kingdom itself is ruled by a really powerful dude. I don't think they would be super upfront about their bloodline, right? So they would kind of have to be like incognito in other ones, right?
That is a very fair assessment, yes. And as far as folks with the Azrai bloodline, especially the Anshalan, yes, they have spread throughout all of Cerilia. There is reports of very powerful Anshalan as far east as Vazgard, and pretty much everywhere you've heard tales of. Apparently, Anshalan exists in this entire land.
Sure. Well, it's not something that can be ruled out, but I guess we'll have to hear more from what Usk has to say. I would say it's possible, but unlikely that it's connected to that.
Well, it deserves at least investigation because if there's things like that on our border, we should be aware of their movements and what they're doing and stuff.
Yep, definitely.
We'll see if he'll agree to those parameters and we'll hear him out.
That sounds very suitable, my lord. Taking us back to the council chambers. Shall we then move on to the next one? I've converted Usk to a private appointment.
Sounds good.
You notice he glances across the table as he's reading this, and his eyes kind of lock onto Tavard for a moment. The next petitioner is one Mr. Diwali Greybelt. He is a dwarven merchant from the lands of Baruch Ajik. He is seeking allies to enter a tunnel system that he has discovered under the Stone Crown Mountains.
Where be those?
The Stone Crown Mountains? Well, they are on our southern border, of course, and they bar entry into our domain from anywhere south. In fact, there is a very famous pass in the land of Melavien that has a lot of history associated with the armies from the south tried to get to the north.
Does it say that the tunnels are worked or they're just a natural cave system?
He doesn't specify. He says he seeks allies, so I assume that means he probably wants to hire like guards and things to aid him in through these tunnels. So, the information that we have had, of course, there's always been rumors about some vast underground tunnels. Some even have speculated that there are some tunnels that may reach all the way from the north of Enweir to the south of Enweir, all underground, if you can believe it.
I don't like the sound of that.
All
Sounds
right.
very dangerous. Unlikely to return.
Sounds like fun.
It just sounds like a delving into some ruins or a potential dungeon or something to me. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, obviously it depends on how much money he's requesting from us, but would that be the only reason why he's requesting that permission from us? Or is there something about adventuring here that needs to be cleared by us or something another?
No. The comments here are very brief. I'm assuming because he says he seeks allies, he's hoping that maybe you can supply him with those allies?
Sounds reasonable.
Do we have
Um,
like an adventuring guild or mercenary bands who we can contract out? Or does he think the council is going with him?
There are mercenary groups all over the land, everywhere, really. So if that's what you wish, you could certainly hire folks to that regard. Knowing exactly what the challenge entails is always, well, challenging if repetition is not too boring. But, well, that is one option. I understand that all of you also are, in fact, capable on your own. So if this is something that personally interests you, I am sure he would be more than happy to have the counselors follow him and join him in this expedition under the Stone Crown Mountains.
I mean, it's where the giants are too, right? Theoretically.
Well,
And
the giants supposedly are in the upper mountains, and this would be under the mountains, so probably a bit different, but same mountains, yes.
we'll hear him out. It sounds reasonable, and perhaps instead of spending money on it, we could just go ourselves.
My lord, you can't possibly put yourself at risk.
He can go.
He can go, but he should not, my lord.
Well, I think I have uh, a little bit of sway now, where on some of these I could go, and some of them I could send someone in my stead with you all.
That sounds better.
But in those situations, you have to understand that as council members, your lives are also valuable, your opinions, obviously, based on the notes I've taken.
Nothing compared to yours, my lord.
Sure, Dean, and I'll kind of give him a slap on the shoulder and say, but don't be stupid in any of those situations and get yourselves killed.
Of course.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get out of the office. You know what I mean?
I do.
Day one.
I'm not saying on day one we do it, but I'm just saying.
Day
Well,
one. I've been in this castle long enough. Let's go cover ourselves in tunnel dirt.
did he have A, an idea of price, and B, what part? Was it in Mountain Edge or Melavine?
He has not specified, my lord, but knowing this kind of expedition, I would suggest that taking it on takes a bit of time and effort. So if this is something you're interested in doing, you should definitely let the DM know ahead of time so he is prepared.
Aye, we
I
will.
picked that up as soon as you started saying that. I was like, yeah, he's got to
Yeah.
build a tunnel system.
I mean, of course, I'm down to go on an adventure, guys. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like Adam's asking us out of character real quick.
No,
Hey,
yeah,
if you guys want to do this, then
No,
do you,
no shit, Dylan. We get it.
we haven't heard we haven't
So-
heard him yet, so we're at least 3 sessions away from doing this, but it's still on the table. Yeah.
I'm down.
But you're not going, my lord.
I have already remedied that situation.
Okay. Day one.
I say let's see what everything is before we make a decision.
For sure. It might be something. I don't know how urgently he wants this done, but like, I feel like we should like establish a baseline of like making sure our kingdom is functional before we go fucking around and maybe get ourselves killed in some tunnel somewhere. I'm not opposed to going out to do that, but I feel like we should like dot the i's and cross the t's before we commit to abandoning our offices to go adventure.
Here, here.
There
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
right
now-
now it's vague tunnels.
I'm sure you guys have picked up on this. Obviously, you guys, some of you have already mentioned this, but I will be dropping, this is obviously a quick out of character note. I will be dropping little adventure hooks to you guys. And when you decide that one sounds interesting, then that's when I actually create that. So think of this as a hook. Now, you don't have to do it. There's nothing that you know of as far as information wise that's critical for you to do this. But if it sounds like, hey, this is interesting, and obviously Tavard is also wanting to learn more about the dwarves from Baruch Ajik and maybe get a little bit closer to them, this might be a great opportunity for that. But again, it's you guys driving what you actually want to do.
Sounds great. And also remember, guys, the Baruch Ajik is the same thing that was with that key in that secret room down in the basement. So it sounds cool to investigate and learn more about. I'm down. My vote's yay.
That's the type of key that it was made by them.
That was like the first check Tavard made in this game, and he fucking crushed it.
It's funny. I should probably have remembered that.
My notebook is literally almost full, guys. But
I mean, I'd say if he has more interesting information about the ruins, rather than just I found these ruins, I'm gonna go explore them. I don't know what's in there.
Yeah, for sure.
But if Tavard wants to do something, that does sway it for Bristol because he's happy to go along.
So
Yeah, I mean,
remember, there's Tavard that wants to go do anything dwarven like, right? But Bill just wants to kind of make sure we don't get off the beaten path, in regards to let's not do an adventure. Just, I mean, I'm good for it. Don't get me wrong. I just, I mean, Tavard will always say, mines, that's great. So,
so Dean will always say, "Is the juice worth the squeeze?" And risk reward.
Considering that we've already had 2 requests come through about the Stone Crow Mountains, I think it's important for us to get an idea of what they hold. So my risk versus reward sounds high.
And this is several sessions ago, but remember, your hamlet actually was in the shadow of the Stone Crown Mountains. The Stone Crown Mountains are massive, though. They basically cover the entire southern border of Cariele, so this could be anywhere in that entire span.
All right, so we got 2 yays. Blixel's a yay if Tavard's a
I have
yay.
to hear him out before I even cast my vote.
All right, fair.
He might not even show up.
Adam will be like, yeah, that guy died on the road.
Fucking lost that paper, damn it.
You don't want to build 5 pages of tunnels.
All right, yes. No, like I said, obviously the generation of the adventure doesn't start until you guys lock solid say, yes, we're doing this, because otherwise I'd have to recycle it somehow, and that's never as fun.
So yeah, we'll hear him out. We'll get more information about it, and then if it sounds agreeable, then we'll take it on with him and go along. I think is what the synopsis is, right, guys?
Maybe.
Yes, maybe.
So
The short term, maybe.
So far, it sounds like definitely not next session. Next session is still going to be more council business. You guys will meet with them and then decide. Okay, that works.
Yep.
All right, so as you're discussing this, Lord Tannen looks around to see if there's any more conversation about Diwali Greybelt, this dwarf, and is kind of looking at his other pieces of parchment.
Let's continue.
What else you got, Tannen?
Oh, yes, we're halfway through or so. Let's see, the next one here is a Mr. Clifton Farlight. Oh, he is requesting that you release his friend, a Mr. Landon Fredericks, who is currently in prison here in Carolinian. He says that he was taken based on a trumped-up charge of lewd conduct. And he says this is all blown out of proportion, and he would consider it a personal favor if you would see to it that he is released.
And this Clifton Farlight deserves my personal favors?
That will be up to you to decide, my lord. But what I can tell you is Mr. Farlight is a local bard. He performs at some different establishments, music, poetry, stories, that sort of thing. This friend of his, I don't know nearly as much about.
Guilty. Just immediate. Sorry.
It's a bar.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, we'd have to get a description of what exactly this man was arrested for and how exactly long he's imprisoned. Because if it was for lewd conduct, I imagine that's like, 60 to 90 days, and then he's out back into normal life.
Well, that would all be dependent upon what the Lord of Riverford has instituted as a punishment for that, but I can certainly get more information before this petitioner arrives tomorrow.
And who is the Lord of Riverford?
Oh, let me just check my documentation here. Oh, yes, his name is on the tip of my tongue. In fact, I actually met him once before, but I can't say I know a whole lot about him. Yes, oh, here it is. Lord Agglemore Autumnvane.
Have I had run-ins with him, Adam, you think?
I would say it's up to you here, Dean. He essentially rules Riverford in the name of the previous count. So think of him as almost like a governor of the province. If you think you would have had any run-ins with him, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I would think so, because if I went all the trouble to meet Michael and try to get his, ear, I'm sure I would have at least tried to make counsel with the governor of the place I live.
Fair enough. So I will give you a little bit of extra information on him then. He is very short for a human. He's only like 5'4" and very thin, about 125 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. You would know that he looks to be rail thin, and he has this bearing about him. You get the impression that he always thinks he's the smartest person in the room, regardless of who else is there.
So he's messing with his herbalism kit and counting his ingredients. I'm sorry. What was that again? What is this complaint about? I'm sorry. I'm not good at meetings.
Oh, the petitioner's complaint. The petitioner, Mr. Clifton Farlight, the bard, he wants his friend, Mr. Lander Fredericks, released from prison. The question was about the punishment for lewd conduct, and I was saying that would be up to Lord Autumnvane as far as how he has interpreted that and, served as the judge in that sentencing. So whatever he dictated as the punishment would be what was instituted.
I find this man to be quite arrogant and pompous. What's the word? He thinks he just knows everything, so it'd be quite a diplomatic mission.
Well, we can't release anyone from someone else's imprisonment without obviously upsetting someone or someone else, but we'll need to know exactly why they were imprisoned and their sentence and how long it is. And if we have that information, I'm sure we could come to a better understanding of how to resolve the problem. But lewd conduct sounds like either he maybe had a song or a poem that insulted someone and they felt the need to arrest him wrongly, or he
My
showed
guess
his
is somebody's
ding dong in
daughter was
public.
involved.
It's a slippery slope either way. I think we should really nip this in the bud before an innocent person like myself gets wrapped up in this.
You would do lewd conduct innocently?
What's lewd to you is a Thursday to me.
Oh, Thursday. Well, what's lewd in my tribe, by it very small. In fact, about as large as this council is right now, that conduct is for immediate expulsion.
Yikes.
We are family.
No
We make
wonder
sure
there's
we
only like 6 of you left.
No, there's 6 of us left because the guild is taken away of our lands, and the power of Eric with it is why there are 6 left.
All right, I'm just saying. You should start making babies.
All right, and on that note,
I
look, we just need more information. We can't just release someone for prison willy-nilly. It's just unorthodox.
Yes, my lord. Would you like me to send correspondence to Lord Autumnvane and see if he has any strong feelings on this imprisoned individual to kind of get a little bit of head of any kind of outrage or concern?
That would be lovely.
All right, I shall do so. And you see documents. All right, guys, so we've got about 13 minutes left in our session here. I did want, if you guys are up for it, for you guys to take your first domain action, because I think that's a whole other part of this game. Have you guys had a chance to look through the actions, discuss amongst yourselves about what action you think you want to take?
Yeah, Dylan knows.
Yeah. I think we figured some stuff though.
All right, so hang on, let me pull up the sheets. And let me flip to my notes. All right. No. Okay, fancy pants, Lord Tannen. Nope, that's not what I want. Okay. So what we discussed was income higher than expenses, keeping tannin, of course, trade route in Mountain's Edge, potential decree, diplomacy with the temple, Oaken Grove sends us a holding question mark. Nope, we talked about that. I asked that already. And rotating province tax rates was something I wrote down as well. But I think like one of the first things we should do personally, and I'll just let you all decide if we think it's cool, but the diplomacy action is to create a break in alliance. I think after what happened with Moriad and Michael and meeting him, it sounds like a great ally and the first one that we should reach out to. It does cost money and it does cost regency points, but considering we already have a bit of connection with them, I don't think there would be any rejection or agitation from any of the other province holders. And then that's the first step in allowing us to build trade routes and, military access and all sorts of stuff. Plus, we have people there.
I second.
And quick question: the religious realm spell or whatever they would cast, that's nothing involved with this, right?
No.
The realm spells are like they have to essentially. If you go to the master list and click on it, it has to be a spellcaster regent, and they have to cast it as their entire action. So if another
that's
one
why I
has like,
wanted to figure that out, because it's like they're doing this religious order is doing this spell on everything, right?
That's what the petitioner has suggested, is that the Northern Reformed Church would cast the spell on your behalf. Obviously, being that they have temple holdings in your realm, it will help them as well. But yes, they would be using their action to benefit you and them.
Then I say, yeah, let's do the trade route.
I don't think we can open a trade route.
Right. In order to open a trade route, you have to have a guild holding in your province and in the province that you want to connect to.
And you also have to build a road. So those are two separate things too.
Yes. Now, roads, I didn't want to clutter up the map too much, but there are currently roads that link all three of your provinces. There's a road that goes north from Riverford into Thosone, and a road that goes south from Melavienne into Moriad and ultimately into Alamier.
So yep, that would be what I would suggest. I know it costs money, but I think that would be our best move at first, to just reach out to them, create a good alliance to formally say, we got your back, you got our back kind of thing. And it would open up conversations with Derek and Michael, who dislike the guild, by the way.
I think it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's important. Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying it makes sense.
It's important to note that after Miele did that thing and really pissed off Michael, I don't think she has a chance of really maintaining diplomatic ties over there. So I don't know that she would have standing to try to step in our way of trying to establish relations like this. So yeah, it's probably our best lifeline right now is to cozy up to them.
Sounds good to me, for sure.
Is that ayes around the table?
Aye.
All right. There you have it, Adam. We would like to use our first domain action of this campaign to use the diplomacy action to create an alliance with Moriad.
Okay, now a couple of things I will note real quick. As a reminder, you guys are currently spending minimal on your court. So you are spending just one gold bar on your court. So basically what that means is any diplomacy domain actions are increased by 2 and made at disadvantage. So you can still do that. The DC is looking like it would be probably like an 11, which is for you guys right now is just a straight roll. You can spend gold bars or Regency points to give yourself a bonus if you wish, but you would be making it disadvantaged because of your real minimal court at this point. Is that something you still want to pursue?
Let me ask you, when you say court, is that the general condition of the palace?
Court has different levels, right?
Well,
Yes. So you can think of the court as being all of the individuals and the accoutrements of your court. So, for example, if you were to spend 1 gold bar, which is what you guys have right now, the text says your facilities are equal to a common inn. You have few servants, no specialized retainers, musicians, tutors, or falconers, no real events such as feasts or balls. The more you spend, the greater that gets. So, for example, if you were to spend 6 gold bars per turn, you have plentiful servants, retainers, regular galas, and festivities. And then if you spend up to 9 gold bars or more, there's art, literature, and sport celebrated all the time in your court. Guests are waited on hand and foot. Every day has a festive event of some kind. So think of this as sort of almost like a popularity contest in a way, right? Where the more you spend, the more like events and things that you could shower money on, and people are like, wow, that's really cool. So it makes the other realms more interested in what you have to say.
yeah, copy that.
So increasing our court level would cost us moolah.
A lot.
But what we could do is we could spend Regency points to lower the DC, right, Adam?
You could, yep, that or gold bars, or both. You could say 3 of this and 3 of that, your choice.
Okay, and if we were to do that, does the DC lower by 6 because we spent 6 different things? Is
You
that how
got
it works?
Exactly, yep, 1 for 1 basis.
So it would be disadvantage, but the DC would be 5, is what I'm saying, if we did that exact method.
So base DC is 8, and then that is modified by between the difference between your province level capital, which is a 5, and Moriad's, which is actually a 6. So that would increase it by 1 because they're a little bit more prominent than you. So DC becomes a 9, and then because of your poor court, it becomes an 11, and then you're at disadvantage due to the court. So 11 and disadvantage. If you were to spend 3 and 3, that would drop your DC to a 5, correct? You'd be making it a disadvantage, but you would just need a 5 on the other side. Now remember, this is a straight D20 roll. You're not adding modifiers and things, so a 1 is just a 1.
I assume this is not something we can portent.
No, because this represents 30 days of like work, you know.
Good question.
Says the former also wizard with that ability.
Yeah, all the time. Can we do it? Can we do it in one turn, or is it we do this? We increase the court, and then next week we do another domain action to try to get diplomacy.
So court is not something you can turn around really quickly. After each season, you decide how much money you spend on your court. So for this season, your next 3 domain actions, you're going to have that minimal court, that 1 gold bar investment. After these 3 turns, you could certainly bump that up if you wish, and then that would take effect in the next season.
Man, it's hard to believe we're at disadvantage with Michael.
Well, it's not just with Michael, it's just the differences in our domains, right?
Yeah.
You think Moriad is bigger than just Michael. It's like, they have to think about it from, just like if somebody were to approach us with an alliance, we couldn't just say yes because, Garnica's hot. You know what I mean?
No,
I think one of you could.
Yeah, but you get what I mean, right? So with this situation, the DC is based around how we present ourselves in this. So think of it like we're courting them, and we've got this shitty ass court. We don't even have a trumpeter over here. You know what I mean?
No,
So
yeah, I totally know what you mean. I'm just saying I was just emoting. It's hard to believe we have disadvantage with Michael.
We got no falconers, man.
Yeah.
And really, based on the timing, like I was looking at this the other day, you guys have done a lot of stuff in a very short period of time. So Lord Michael likely, I mean, I can almost guarantee this, he's not even back to the capital yet. He's still in transit because you guys have spent several sessions in like a single game day. So you guys spent 3 sessions, including this one. So this will be a 4th session on a single day. Right, so he's been traveling, but really it's a day ago that you guys spoke with him and all those events went down.
So we need to fix up the place. Is that the deal?
Need to hire some folks.
So are we doing like the whole sequence? So we're gonna do the Regency points and all that stuff first before the actions, or is that not happening this first turn?
Not this first season. So all that you're referring to occurs at the beginning of each season, and because you guys came in sort of in the middle, I'm just putting you guys past all of that to let you do your 3 actions. Again, you'll take 1 action that represents a month's worth of time. I'm sure a lot of other stuff will happen in the month before you get to your next turn.
Okay, so we're on steps 5, 6, 7 of this current turn. Because unless we want to do some special actions, so just let me get just one quick overview of. We said there's a decree that only costs a gold bar.
Yes, technically you could still declare special actions if you wished.
And do we know that we're currently making more gold bars than we're spending on things?
We're not. We're paying 8 per turn, right? And Adam said something like we're making 6 to 10 depending on rules. So on average, it's a wash. We're stagnant.
Yeah, exactly right. You might make some, but you might lose some. That's where you're sitting at right now. And as a reminder, you guys decided to hire Lord Tannen here and agreed to cover his salary of 1 gold bar per season. So your payroll will go up to 5.
And he's part of the court, and that's why the court's won.
He is technically not part of the court. He's considered the treasurer, so he is performing a special function of the treasury, and obviously, providing you advice and all of that sort of thing. That's his fee. He's a lord. Lords tend to have a lot of money, so the idea of like paying them a pittance, they're like, yeah, no way. Like you're pulling him away from doing parties and hanging out and all that kind of stuff because he's got money for days, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down for something that doesn't cost a lot of money because we're not making anything right now, but a little bit is fine.
Yeah, and so in lieu of spending money, we could spend those Regency points, and
I haven't had a chance to read this part. How often do we get Regency points back, and how many would we get?
At the beginning of each season. So at the beginning of each season is where you get more money and more Regency points. Right now, you're going to get 18 points at the beginning of each season.
Yeah,
feels like kind of a lot.
Decent much.
Yeah.
You said it sounds like kind of a lot. You'd be surprised. They go really quickly when you're trying to increase your odds of success. And for reference, other realms, like some of their other regions, they might be getting 40, 50, or 60 Regency points per season when you guys are getting 18. So to put it in perspective, I'd say 18 is actually kind of low.
And that's just because we don't have leveled up holdings, right?
Correct. You don't have enough holdings based on Vin's bloodline. So if you were to get 5 more levels, either of provinces or holdings, you would maximize your Regency accumulation per season, which right now is capped at 23 because that is Vin's bloodline score.
Yes, sir. Stabbing people in the heart.
Well, I can actually. There's actually a special action for me to increase my bloodline.
Yes, but it is very pricey. To go from a 23 to a 24, you have to spend 24 Regency points to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's expensive as fuck. And it gets more expensive every single time.
You got it. Yeah.
So diplomacy is just opening it up to Michael.
Essentially, we're creating an alliance with Michael would be the first action because you could also do a trade agreement. But what we want to do is not the trade agreement, but the other thing. Sorry, I just opened like 12 tabs on accident.
Are you sure we don't want to do the trade agreement?
Well, I feel like the trade agreement's likelihood of success is the same, right, Adam? Or would it be better if we're already in an alliance with them?
Well, you said we couldn't because we don't have.
So like you have to have the alliance first.
So you guys
You
don't
have to have
actually have guild
yeah.
holdings right now, which means you can't form a trade route. So you could say like, hey, let's agree that we can trade between our two kingdoms, and very likely they'd go, okay, because there's already trade going between your two kingdoms. It's just that you guys don't own those routes. So if you were to get your own guild holding and then say, hey, we want to now build a trade route from here to Moriad, then this is where you would use diplomacy to actually build that trade route or get an agreement. Now, if you already have an alliance, like, and it's an ironclad alliance, like we'll protect you, you'll protect us, they probably won't even care. They'll just say, sure. They won't even make you won't have to use a diplomacy action to do a trade route, because it would be like, yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. So
The problem there is getting a guild holding and not upsetting me alien, having her send her fucking armies to kill us because
Yes,
we're stepping on her
exactly.
turf.
And I see we're about 3 minutes after session here, and I try to keep to that. So do you guys want to think on this, and we'll do the domain action at the very beginning of the next session?
I think there's a lot to think about here that we might need to.
sure, we can think about it.
All right, so I would suggest to feel free to talk in Discord if you guys wish, and kind of decide what you want to do, how many points you want to spend. You'll see your base cost there is 1 Regency, 1 gold bar. Anything on top of that you spend will improve your odds, of course, and then you're rolling at disadvantage. So one of the questions I do get kind of occasionally on this is, well, if we spend enough points to lower the DC to a 1, does that make it an automatic success? And the answer is yep. So if you want to guarantee it, also, keep in mind, as we've already discussed, Moriad is actually controlled by a volunteer who is ruling Moriad. So once you guys decide to do this action, I'm going to ask that whoever is acting as your diplomat or your ambassador, is going to go ahead and post a message in our channel directly to Moriad and essentially state the terms of the alliance that you want, state, any other details that you would like to add. If you want to try to butter them up with flavorful language, whatever you want to do, right? And then that person will respond how they, are RPing that character. And I will be, of course, providing them information, you guys information as needed to facilitate that.
Cool.
All right, excellent. Well, great session, everybody. Feel free to think this one over, how exactly you want to do this. And we will pick up next week and start with that domain action.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, good job,
See you
guys.
guys.
All right, guys. Have a
Good
good
night,
one.
everyone.
Nail.